Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson. We're live on YouTube, we think. Sam Monson mock draft time, Sam. That's
Smooth.
you. That's you.
Yeah, it is.
You're going to do your mock.
It's me.
It's all brought to you by FanDuel.
Whoa.
Coming at this volume's never just a mess. Restart it.
Yeah, it's
Just
brutal.
reset the whole thing.
You can't give instructions like that. They'll think you're
I'm
serious.
just kidding. Welcome in to Check the Mic. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson, live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Coming at you from the Antonio Cromartie studio on Par with Huggies, all brought to you by FanDuel. Time for your mock draft here, Sam.
Indeed.
How's everybody doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Leinster won at the weekend, so all's good. All's good with the world.
Yeah, you were a little chipper this morning.
Yeah. Well, because, we've been pretty bad this year. But,
More chipper this
But we
morning.
were pretty good, even though gave up multiple tries. But still, it's all good. Won in the end. On to the next round.
This is our, congrats to you. Next round of what?
The European Cup.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
When are you gonna,
what used to be called the Heineken Cup.
the Heineken Cup. They lost the sponsorship. Now it's just Europe sponsors it.
I think they just changed it around. I think Heineken still sponsors it. They're just no longer the title sponsor.
Got it. All right. Well, it's 3 weeks out here.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks from Thursday. We're 2.5 weeks from the NFL draft. I could use another month of prep, to be honest. Never know.
I know, but it's like you get another month to prep. You don't actually use that month to prep. It's just deadlines
Just
for
draft.
action.
Feels
so it's
dead.
that thing that Andrew Brandt always says. That's what we need.
It's true.
Deadlines coming. You're just going to have to get into the tape as much as you can.
I'm excited about the next couple of weeks. So we'll have your mock draft here today, my mock draft next week. On Monday, we've got we're going to have a fun show on Wednesday talking about some draft myths and some old conversations we've had. Are running backs really worth a first rounder? How you should evaluate pass rushers. A lot of fun stuff there. And then edge rush breakdown and rankings with John Ledyard on Thursday, which you're going to bail on, but I'll be here for that.
Yeah, I will unfortunately be missing for that show.
That's fine.
But it sounds like it'll be good.
A lot of good stuff coming up. We got the big fun draft prospect video coming up here as well in the next couple of weeks. So
Yeah,
make
favorite
sure you hit
videos
subscribe.
are coming in.
Do all the things. All right. We ready to go here?
I'm going to need you to send out a reminder, by the way, to all the people that you contacted.
I know.
Just one. I've got it tracked. It's in the spreadsheet as well.
Is
reminder.
I have to tick the
Yeah,
reminder.
There's a reminder column, too. I got this all. I'm very organized with this. It's the one thing in the world that I'm organized with.
The one other quick announcement I'm going to make, I've mentioned before, I need to be slightly careful with my official draft takes. We do have a consulting client officially now.
For the PVM?
They're getting PVM. They're getting my analysis.
Maybe they can help you name it. As, the first client. They
We'll
can come
adjust.
in and be like, hey,
We'll adjust to that.
as long as I'm doing some stuff for you, how about you?
Oh, yeah,
you send some naming
I'll
advice
take
my
naming
way.
recommendations. If you're in. So we'll do some. We're doing some advising for this NFL draft cycle.
Beautiful.
We're going to keep it mum on who it is, but hopefully they listen. Hopefully they listen and just get better every day.
And there's a challenge for the listeners. You've got a month now to listen now and see if you can identify a change in Steve's analysis of any given team. Be like, there you go.
Oh, I love this team. Love everything they're doing.
There's the team he's
Oh,
consulting
they're the
for.
best. They're the best. They're the best team. They're my favorite team.
Suddenly they've not made a misstep in the last month
They're
or so.
just great. They're just great. Tough to criticize anything they've ever done, as long as they're working with me.
Yeah.
All right, man, let's get to your mock draft. We'll do a first round, 1 round mock here. Maybe you'll just get crazy and throw some second round picks at some of those teams too. You're going to work the sim.
If we're going to do that, we're going to need to, restart the thing because I suppose we could do it at the end and just restart with the second round. And anyway.
It would have to be their same picks, though. All right,
We'd
this
have
is
to
your mock.
redo- Yeah, that's true.
What is your
That's no good way of doing that.
Palazzolo value metric? Is good. Yeah, there's your PVM. What is your criteria for a mock draft? Are you being predictive, or what are you doing?
So I'm going to do what I would do within some kind of bounds of reason. So I was thinking, for example, I might, as the Raiders, try and get out of that pick and trade. And then I'm like, but I can't find a trade partner.
Because you're on the other end.
Yeah. Because if I'm the Jets, I'm not doing that. I'm not trading up for Mendoza when I can just sit tight until next year. That was my problem. Is I was like, I kind of like to trade out of that pick and just assemble, a giant haul for next year where it's supposed to be much better.
Do you want to get crazy with some did you hear the McShay rumor that was floating from McShay? Todd.
I saw a reaction to it, and then I saw him complaining that people hadn't actually listened to the clip, and at no point did I actually bother.
Oh, forget it
either.
then. Maybe it's not a rumor. But The
Is that
supposed
Dallas
rumor
trading
is
up,
that,
right?
yeah, about
Yeah.
Dallas trading up.
I'm not sure that's actually what he said, and that was just the caption that did him dirty, and then he
see,
complained
that's my
about
own
it, and then it was
my bad.
It was already too far gone for me to bother unpicking it all and figure out like what
everything
the
I
thing
hate.
was.
I just did everything I hate.
Yeah.
Responded to someone's improper caption, which was a misinterpretation of the actual video. So let's forget that. But will you make some blockbuster trades?
Seemingly unlikely, but again, just because it's like for every time I want to get out of a pick, the problem is I'm struggling to find a team that wants to get into that pick.
Go get
But maybe
Ruben Bain.
maybe it'll pop up.
Go get him. All right, man. Well, let's get into it. Raiders at number 1.
Yeah, they're going Mendoza.
All right, Fernando Mendoza. Caveat, of course, if you want more Fernando Mendoza analysis, go back to our QB rankings episode with the great
Greg Cosell.
Greg Cosell.
Yeah.
Not enough people watched our running back rankings either. Like, go listen to us and JJ.
Yeah.
A lot of people listened last Wednesday to that show.
It's bad. It's not a good running back class, which doesn't help. You know?
It doesn't.
It's Jeremiah
it doesn't
Love,
help at all.
And then nobody cares.
It's a good show, though. It's a good show. All right, Mendoza number 1. He's up on the board. How about the Jets?
Yeah,
at
the
number
pivot
2?
point
What
at
do
number 2 every time
The betting favorite, if you're into that,
is Reese, right?
is Arvell Reese.
Yeah.
And we know the betting favorite stuff is funky, right? Like draft week, you'll get like the Will Levis bump and weird stuff. Like Tyree Wilson was randomly bumped up to 2.
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't all misinformation that I got suckered into, like people suggested last year, but I think it was real. But as of right now, Arvell Reese is the betting favorite.
I think it's certainly, I don't know if it's real when it gets to like 24 hours out from the draft. I think then it starts to get funky. But I don't think, like, coming up to the draft, I think it's real in terms of that's where the hype is around a guy. The Reese thing's starting to get interesting because, you know, you're getting a lot of people start to push back on this idea of is he actually more of a theory than a realized sort of weapon on that defense? Look at guys like Isaiah Simmons. We do this every year. We get enamored by these hybrid guys, and actually hybrid means tweener, and tweener means bad, and blah, blah, blah. And then you get other people, like I saw Connor Rogers on the Stock Exchange saying, well, the big difference between him and Isaiah Simmons in particular is Reese is already amazing at something. Like you could plug him in day one as an off-the-ball linebacker, and he's already a really elite player at that. Whereas Isaiah Simmons was legitimately trapped between positions. And actually, in my opinion, he was a safety, and he still is a safety, but the NFL's never going to play him there because he's 250 pounds. And even though the NFL is getting better, I think at like moving away from sort of archetype body types and being like, if the guy can play, plug him wherever. I think they do still get locked in sometimes, being like, if you're 250 pounds, you just can't play free safety, you know? But Simmons could and can, I think. And so he's now permanently trapped in a position that he doesn't belong. And so that means he's a special teams guy. I do still think, though, I kind of come down on the side of, I agree that Arvell Reese is already good at off-the-ball linebacker. I think he might already be good even with a limited sample size as an edge rusher if you just had him as a designated pass rusher guy. And I do believe that there is this role for him to be carved as a true hybrid player where you can move him around a more evolved and complex version of what the Broncos used to do with Von Miller. You know, your Sam linebacker for the first 2 downs, your edge rusher for third down. Obviously, that's more complicated in today's NFL. But, like, if he landed in the right defense that is prepared to do something like that and be like, this guy, I can walk him up at the line of scrimmage. I can have him drop deep and, you know, cover. Like, I can have him run with a tight end and tap a 2 off this formation, or I can have him rush the passer up the B gap, and they're never going to know which is coming. Like a Flores or a Mike McDonald, like something creative. I believe there's a genuinely devastating, Joker role to be played for him, and I think he could do any of those things.
Our friend Dane Brugler of The Athletic, The Beast. It's Beast Release Week, by the way.
Yes.
Which is coming out Wednesday.
The Bible, the draft Bible.
So shout out to Dane and The Beast coming out, of course.
Which means for the first time this draft season, we might actually pronounce somebody's name correctly.
Oh, it's great. It's Pronunciation Day for us. We're like, oh, look at that.
Day.
It's completely different than we
Although,
expected.
I feel like we've done a pretty good job this year. And there's been some tricky ones.
Well, we've done, yeah.
Venga Ioane out there wrecking everybody.
Honicher. I hope that's what Dane comes up
That better be, if we've been misled.
Yeah.
And it's not actually Ihanicher.
I actually love that. Like when
upset.
when the beast comes out, you'll start sending me messages with all the pronunciations. It's like you
That we've
surf
been
through.
screwing up
Yeah,
for the
you
last
send
month.
me all the pronoun. Forget about and the background stories, which are fun and everything.
Some of those are wild.
But hopefully we'll have Dane on as we usually do.
The sheer detective work involved in some of that is nuts.
But I bring up Dane first to promote his great work, but also to say I was asking him, hey, he was one of the first people on Arvel Reese. I mean, almost like week 1 of last year when they played Texas, he was like, this dude, force, linebacker, but watch him on the edge, and you start to see those clips of hard edge setting and wrecking offensive tackles in the run game and showing enough ability as a pass rusher. And I just asked, hey, is anybody looking at him as a hybrid? And he was saying, yeah, the couple teams, right? There are teams, and it's teams that run more of a hybrid 3-4, 4-3. Now, like Titans at 4, Robert Saleh is your classic hand in the dirt, 4-down defensive line team. I can't imagine they see him as a hybrid.
No.
But any team with 3-4 type of roots, we've used the Dante Hightower comp when he came out of Alabama. He was this, monster inside backer, old school 3-4 backer. But when he needed to just go rush off the edge, he was one of the few inside backers that could do it. Maybe that's a good comp. Maybe Jalen Walker from last year, who was an actual two-way player at Georgia and has pretty much just been a 3-4 outside backer type with the Falcons to this point.
In a scheme that does use some creativity.
Right.
They could have done that. They could have deployed him as a very hybrid type of player and didn't really.
So anyway, that's the Arvel Reese discussion. Every time we mention his name, though, I just want to bring this up. If you do see the two things are true deal, because I see a lot of people defending, like, watch the tape, see the traits, see the future production for Arvel Reese on the edge. I agree. There's elements of that. The other end of it is if you're just using data and saying, look at his pressure rate and comparing him pressure rate wise or win rate wise compared to Ruben Bain or David Bailey, those are going to be disingenuous numbers just because so many of them are at off-ball linebacker, and that inflates those numbers.
People, I think it's a little bit similar to the Travis Hunter discussion last year as well, albeit both positions being on the same side of the ball. But people will point to the Isaiah Simmons example and be like, oh, this is the cautionary tale, like hybrid players are super risky. I genuinely think, though, in Arvel Reese's case, it actually increases his hit rate and raises his floor, because if he doesn't work out at one, I think there's a pretty good chance he works out at the other. Like, if you thought, so for example, if your plan was, we're going to draft Arvel Reese, we're going to move him to the defensive line like he's Micah Parsons, and then we're going to turn him into an all-pro edge rusher, right? If that doesn't work out, I think there's a pretty good chance you can fall back, move him to off-the-ball linebacker, and he becomes a good player at off-the-ball linebacker. Like, if Micah Parsons, for whatever reason, hadn't worked out on the defensive line when they moved him there full-time, they could have moved him back to off-the-ball linebacker, and he would have been really good, right? Yeah. I think that raises his floor. Like, I feel very good about the chances of him busting being relatively low compared with other players, even compared with the David Bailey, say, who, if he doesn't hit, like if he's not able to anchor against the run and suddenly he's just a designated pass rusher, I think Reese's floor is potentially higher.
Let me just add to that really quick, because we've already done an Arvel Reese profile and broken all this down. But I think there's a difference between saying this guy's a jack of all trades and this guy could play two different positions, to your point. Like, you're saying Hunter could play two different positions, so could Reese. And if one doesn't work out, you go to the other. The jack of all trades thing, that's why the Isaiah Simmons thing comes up. It's like, oh, he can do linebacker stuff and safety stuff, and he's big, and he's fast. The other guy I always bring up is Deion Jordan, who went number 3 overall. And I think a lot of his hype was, well, he's 6'7", and he does cool stuff for 6'7". Like, he drops into coverage.
And you have to ask yourself what you're projecting.
But yeah, but those are more secondary job descriptions. Like, dropping into coverage. If you were like, hey, I love Arvel Reese because of the way he drops into coverage, I don't know if that's why you want to take that guy at 2. Right. And that was the Deion Jordan thing. And that's the Isaiah Simmons thing, is like, oh, he can make plays as a free safety on the ball, therefore he must be great at linebacker. And a lot of, the jack of all trades thing doesn't always translate.
And that's why it's a conversation at 2, because if you only see Arvel Reese as an off-the-ball linebacker, well, then it is a conversation of whether you want to draft him at 2 because, position value and all those kinds of things. Like, you get into the same discussion you have with other players, like why not Sonny Styles, for example. But the difference between him and a guy like even Jalen Walker from a year ago is that I think he's already doing high-level off-the-ball linebacker things at a level like when we talked about Jalen Walker as a hybrid player, they used him in that role, but they hid him as a linebacker. Like they did not ask him to, from the line of scrimmage, turn your back to the quarterback, run with this tight end on a post route, and get underneath, the throw into zone coverage, right? They asked him to like spot drop and just get in the way. And he did that fine, but they were like, so he had a ton of like coverage snaps in inverted commas, but they weren't real coverage snaps. Reese has real coverage plays in his tape, and I think he could be a really good linebacker. So me, as the Jets, at 2, my conversation is between Arvell Reese, David Bailey, who's more of the pure, twitchy pass rusher. Your questions are, do you think he's good enough against the run? And then also, there's this conversation about how fluid he is as a mover. He has this sort of weird way of moving.
Bailey.
Yeah. That, people will question, for example, compared with a Reuben Bain, like what is his true bend like around the edge, et cetera. And then Bain being the third guy. And Bain, again, this is like, I'm comfortable with any of these guys in the top 10. When you're talking about 2 overall, basically the best player in this draft outside of the quarterback Mendoza going number 1, you have to be at least slightly concerned about Bain's arm length, right? And that's, again, he's already an outlier. I have quite a lot of confidence of him being a good NFL player, but is he going to be elite with that arm length?
I keep coming back and forth, and we'll talk Bain more, I think, I don't know if you're going to pick him here. I'm assuming you're not, but I watched him against Crown over the Texas A&M tackle, because I was just going back through Bain's plays. Like, does this show up? Crownover had 35-inch arms, and Bain gets in on him. Yeah. And look, I mean, there's a technique thing. I mean, if you face Andrew Thomas, one of the best tackles in the league for the Giants, who has 35, maybe 36-inch arms, like that's different than, college mid-round projectable player. But man, you see like 5-inch differences in arms, and Bain still making it work. So I keep trying to talk myself back into ignoring the arm length when I watch Bain.
There's a lot of reasons to. I mean, I joked that the comp for him is, 1980s Mike Tyson, and I think there's some serious legitimacy to that. Like, he is built like a brick. He's got insane power. He understands how to work inside a guy's guard, if you like, a guy's reach, and negate the fact that the arm length is a thing. And actually, if and when it surfaces, I think it tends to surface more in the run game than it does as a pass rusher, right? Like, I think he understands how to get around a guy's arms as a pass rusher. If it causes problems, it's when a guy's able to engage on him in the run game and then lock out, and suddenly he's sort of trapped at the end of that. Again, it's got to at least concern you a little bit. Maybe only when you're talking about like a top couple of draft picks, but at some point in the draft. So I guess of the 3, the guy that I'm most comfortable rolling the dice on is Arvell Reese.
Boom. There we go.
Man, that was
Arvell Reese to the Jets. Long discussion, but these are fun. I know we've had them before, but slightly different angles on them and more information and everything. So Mendoza 1, Reese 2, as chalk as you can get for this year's non-chalk draft.
Yeah.
But Cardinals are up at 3 here. Another pivot point.
It is. And they could go, honestly, I think they could go really almost anywhere at this point. You could go for the same 2 people we just talked about for the Jets, Reuben Bain and David Bailey. This is where one of the chalkiest picks is Francis Mauigoa going. If you see him as an offensive tackle, a plug-and-play right tackle potentially for them. I also think this is the spot where all of the other blue-chip players that are not positions of value come into play. You could argue that a Caleb Downs is worth taking at 3 overall if you just think he's that damn good. You could argue that a Sonny Styles is worth taking at 3 overall if you believe he's just that damn good. I'm not sure that the other spot would be the cornerbacks. Like, if you think Mansour Delane is an elite player, I've seen the people now that he ran his 40, people are back on the Jermod McCoy thing. This guy's elite. Look at his 24 tape. This guy's a top 5 player. If you believe that, Cardinals is a viable option.
Yeah, they could go several different ways. And it's interesting because I do think they've done a better job with their roster. It's not because they're completely devoid of talent. I think they have added some talent over the last couple of years, but last year fell apart in the second half of the year.
And then the other guy that comes up here, if there's a lot of people out there, including Brandon Thorne, who's like, Spencer Fano is the best offensive lineman in this draft. If you believe that Spencer Fano is the best offensive lineman in the draft, similarly to Arvell Reese, the fact that he's potentially a 5-position player raises his floor massively. So the Cardinals could take him with a view to playing him at right tackle, and then if, for whatever reason, his arm length, his sort of brute size, his strength, if it turns out he can't play tackle, you've got the fallback of, well, he can play anywhere on the interior, theoretically. We can move him inside, rescue his career there. You know, I don't know how much teams think of that when they're drafting a guy at 3 overall, but to me, you raise his floor an awful lot by the fact that he's potentially a 5-position player.
So it's really wide open. The thing with Fano is even Brandon was like late first.
Yeah,
for him.
But also with the realization that that's not where they get drafted.
No, but that's his way of putting a draft grade
Right.
on someone, not an expectation, right? So there's a difference when you put a round grade on someone. Sometimes it's like, here's where I expect him to go. Other times it's like, here's how I think of this player.
Yeah.
So even Brandon is just lower, and it was a really good episode talking to him on Thursday. He's just lower on the offensive tackle class generally. So do you want to take that guy at 3 is the question.
No.
If you're Arizona.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't. But again, you look at it, this is why this draft is kind of weird, because it's like there's a lot of guys that you're not massively comfortable taking in the top 5, but somebody's got to go, right? So it's kind of like, what is the wart, what is the red flag that you're scared of the least? And that's not normally the way I think teams approach this. It's like, just give me the special trait and I'll figure it out. I wonder if it's more the other side of it that you look, and it's like, which guy are you least scared of busting?
Are we now at the good football players are getting devalued stage, though? I think that we have been for a couple weeks. That'd be the Caleb Downs. It's more Caleb Downs and Reuben Bain.
Yeah.
Because Downs didn't work out and Bain had the arm length thing.
Right.
But just good productive players. You could say Sonny Styles, just a good football player, but part of his hype is good football player plus an elite workout. So if anything, he's helped himself during this process here. It really is. And I do wonder how many teams are just like, man, we've had Downs as a top 5 player. We've had Bain as a top 5 player since September. Things have not changed since our pre-draft meetings for us. But for us in the media and in the, as slight outsiders, I'm on the inside now too, Sam. I'm on the inside now too. But as outsiders, we're seeing movement and hype and up and down, and some teams just gonna be like, things haven't changed.
Yeah. The Downs one
we would take Downs or Bain, because
Downs
Bain was really quick.
Right.
Bain was wrecking since week 1 last year, and it wasn't like he came out of nowhere. So somebody probably had him in the top 5 then, and still should.
But he at least has come out, confirmed the preposterously short arms, not done workout numbers. The Downs one to me though is the one where I can see a team being like, we've known for like 3 years what this guy is. We've known what the discussion was going to be. Elite safety that doesn't have elite physical tools, that's just the best football player on the field anytime he steps out there. What is that worth in a given draft, right? Like, that's been the conversation that's been coming down the pipe for Caleb Downs for literally the last 3 years since he stepped onto a college football field. NFL teams, I feel, know the answer to that question and have for, since they've been thinking about Caleb Downs. That's the one that's not going to have changed, right? Now, maybe who else is in this draft is going to have been the variable, but that's not going to have pushed him down a draft. So as much as all the discussion about Caleb Downs from the outside has been like, how high can you take him? He's sliding. Maybe he's not even the best safety in this draft. Like, is the gap between him and Thieneman or McNeil Warren even that big? Meanwhile, inside team buildings, I suspect the answer might just be, this guy is worth the 5th overall pick, the end, until the draft.
All right, man, where are you going to go here with Arizona? I know we won't spend all this time. I know you're here to see your team.
With Arvell Reese off the board, I think I would draft Reuben Bain and just bank on the fact that he's already an outlier. Like, he's already shown he can play with the stumpy arms.
Great. I can't wait to see where he goes. I can't wait to see what happens. As high as 3 or, Bengals at 10 if he falls. I mean, I can't wait to see what that ends up looking like.
Again, I've become a high floor guy. Like, I've become just give me the guy I'm least scared of busting now. I'm
Bain's that guy?
I'm general managing scared.
Demetrius Crownover, by the way, as I said, it was 35. He has 35 and 7/8 inch arms from Texas A&M.
It's almost 36.
It's almost 36. maybe it would be 37 if this was a combine measurement. And Bain's just in on him. I mean, maybe it's really 37.
Yeah, if presumably that number hasn't come from the combine, which is the only way that would make sense.
That's what but I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying. If the measurement, right? Anyway, Bain got in on him.
Yeah. Look, I think Bain's floor is very high because I just don't see a way that a guy that strong and powerful and good at a bunch of things isn't a solid player. So I think worst case scenario, you're adding a solid player to your rotation. Now, is that worth it at the 3rd overall pick in a given draft? Probably not. So you're banking on the fact that he can still overcome the T-Rex arms to become better than that. But I like not having a total bust on my hands in the top 5.
All right, so you went Ruben Bain, number 3 to the Arizona Cardinals. That puts the Titans up on the clock at number 4.
Yep. Now, a lot of people are giving them Jeremiah Love. I think that's crazy. Not that they wouldn't do it, but I think them doing it would be crazy.
I can't wait to see where you put Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. Because
I might just do it next week just because everybody's doing it.
I'm going to draw up this flow chart at some point. Everyone knows my opinion on this. There's a very simple flow chart. Pin it on your wall in a mock draft war room and just ask anytime can we draft this running back here? Tap the chart. What does it say? Is my offensive line good enough for me to support a running back this good right away? And I can't see how you can answer yes to that question if you're the Titans. You can paint yourself the picture, but that's not the same thing. It's like on the balance of probabilities, is this offensive line going to be minimum league average? And I don't think you can confidently say yes to that if you're looking at the Titans starting 5 offensive linemen right now. So immediately, the first part of the flow chart says no. So you don't draft it.
So which team is going to draft? I can't wait to see where he lands.
But do you disagree with that?
No. I think on Wednesday's show we'll break down what's happened with the first-round running backs in the Jeremiah Love discussion. We'll put a little bit more detail around the most recent top 10 picks, the Saquon Barkleys, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs going 12, Ashton Genty last year.
I think if you get past the first part of that flow chart, it starts to get interesting because then you can start having a discussion of, is he worth the 4th overall pick in a vacuum? Is it worth what you're leaving on the table with a David Bailey or a Carnell Tate? You can start getting into those debates. I think that's a lot closer to the Jeremiah Love side of things. But I don't see how you can get past step 1 of the flow chart.
I mostly agree. I mean, the only disagreement is, okay, we're not really drafting this guy for 1 year. For instance, like Ashton Genty could be.
But with running backs more than any other position you are. Not for 1 year, but
the
first year of his contract matters.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Running backs are supposed to hit the ground and cook from day one because you might only have them for one contract.
Right. If you were to compare a hit the ground running back like Bijan Gibbs or say Genty. Like Genty himself played fine last year, but the production wasn't there because everything was
But he looked like a bust because the thing in front of him was such a train wreck.
But that player is not only dependent on people around him, but he's going to be asked to produce, whereas maybe an edge rusher might take 2 years or a tackle might take 2 years before they're good, and you miss out on really good production in the first couple of years. To justify the running back pick, part of the justification is we will get him playing at his best, him individually, right away, whereas other positions you can't necessarily say that.
Right. And also he can make a massive difference from day one, but that's simply not true if the offensive line in front of him is not good. So I don't see how you can draft Jeremiah Love at 4.
One of the interesting, I don't think it's the same fan, but the Titans fan arguments here, and it's just a fascinating fan psychology, is the history of the franchise. And they bring up, well, we've only been good when we've had a great running back, when we've had Eddie George, when we've had Derrick Henry. And so I don't know that matters, but there's a lot of stuff that I always like, that doesn't really matter, but it just seems to come up every now and then. It's an interesting angle where it's like the history of that franchise has been tied to the running back. I don't know that I hope that doesn't come up in the Jeremiah Love discussion, but the fact that fans are bringing it up, I don't know if they're setting the groundwork for that. I'm not really sure.
But it's also, again, it's not. This is why when certain people framed the discussion as running backs don't matter, it's why it was always simplistic and dumb. It's because it's not that running backs don't matter at all. It's because it's not an even discussion. Like they might matter if you have the environment there for them to come in and look really good. Like, you take an already good Eagles offense with a good offensive line, you put Saquon Barkley on it. I mean, that matters a lot. And look what Saquon Barkley did, 2,000 yards. Look, people were trying to give him MVP that year, et cetera. Like, it can matter a lot. Derrick Henry going onto the right team with a decent offensive line. Meanwhile, when the offensive line fell apart in front of Derrick Henry, it's like, maybe he's done. Maybe it's time. Maybe Derrick Henry has finally reached the point where he's washed. And then you put him on a decent team again. It's like, oh, no, Derrick Henry's still good.
It's funny because a lot of times we position the running back thing as they're not a difference maker, right? But you could make the argument that at the high end, they're the force multiplier. So again, I want to push that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not an even value discussion.
Like, they can't do it on their own. But when you do have them, and there's so many good examples. It's Barkley, it's Henry, it's McCaffrey. That when they are in this good situation,
right.
They actually do elevate.
And the point is, when you look at when you look at the teams that often draft them at the very, very sharp end, they rarely have that offensive line in front of them. So one example people will use is, well, look what happened when Dallas drafted Zeke Elliott, right? Who, he didn't last as long as some other running backs, which again is why it's important that you get year one production out of them, because what if his career looks like Zeke Elliott's and it's that kind of time limited, right? But two things were important to understand about that Dallas team that drafted Zeke 4 overall. Number one, they probably shouldn't have been that bad that year. Like, they had no quarterback play that year and suddenly sort of stumbled into, like,
in 2015.
Yes. And
Romo got hurt.
Right.
I think your guy Matt Castle was starting some games.
Yeah. So it's like they had the classic, like, quarterback gets hurt, you stumble into a terrible record that you probably shouldn't have had if all things were good, and suddenly you're picking in the top 5, surprisingly, right?
They also stumbled into Dak.
Also true.
In the fourth.
So 3 things then. Number one, you weren't really as bad as a roster as would have normally gotten the 4th overall pick. Number 2, you found the next quarterback randomly by mistake in the mid rounds. And then number 3, in the 4 years prior to that, they had drafted 3 offensive linemen in the first round, all of whom may end up being Hall of Famers, right? So in the 3 years before Zeke arrived, 4 years, 5 years, Tyron Smith being the first one in 2011, Hall of Fame caliber left tackle. 2 years after that, Travis Frederick in the first round at center, Hall of Fame caliber center. And then the following year after that, Zach Martin in the first round there, Hall of Fame caliber
Drop
guard.
Zeke into that
right.
O-line.
So 3 of your 5 offensive linemen were Hall of Fame caliber players that were all either in their prime or just reaching their prime by the time Zeke rocked up onto that team, and you found a quarterback. Unless you're pitching me that that's going to happen for Tennessee, they don't. Yeah. It's not a comparison.
Again, I do want the 2 arguments I don't want to hear are the Titans' history always has a running back, and Zeke immediately turned around the Cowboys, as you said, or even Leonard Fournette in 2017 was the 4th overall pick, and all of a sudden they're in the AFC Championship. Right. And at the time, it was like, well, look at this. Thought the running back didn't matter. Look at these teams turning things around. And we know long term it wasn't,
also
really
off the back of, like, a historically great defense that year.
I get it. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you want to use history, you could pull up those examples.
I'm not drafted Jeremiah Love at 4. I think David Bailey is a perfect fit for what Saleh does. I think, again, in the what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, Saleh has David Bailey cooking as a designated pass rusher. He could probably do more than that, and you would expect him to do more than that. But again, worst case, Saleh knows how to make a guy like that work, even if he has deficiencies. So I'm going to go with David Bailey.
I like it.
And then the first thing I'm doing when he's in the building is getting to put on gloves.
No more. In some flair, maybe.
Right.
Tape your wrists.
Yeah,
some wristbands or something.
The way sometimes teams will assign, like, a mentor to a player and be like, hey, just keep him on the straight and narrow. Don't let him screw up. I'm gonna find a swag
get Jeffrey
mentor.
Simmons. Get the big
right. Somebody is going to be like his swag
gear
mentor and be like, let's just make sure he's got the appropriate drip.
Reggie White didn't.
But Reggie White, number one, he was playing back in the 80s and the 90s. Like, the world has progressed, right? You can't be having a number 2. You can only do that when you're Reggie White. Like, if you can go out there and one-handed toss Larry Allen, fine. You can wear no gloves and no tape. If you can't do that, put something on.
So you're going Bailey at 4?
Yep.
All right. David Bailey at number 4 to the Tennessee Titans. Again, we're not spending more time on teams. We're talking about players. We're talking about the thought process, splitting up these players, and that's why it's taken a little bit longer. But we'll go faster through the rest of the mock, I'm sure.
We'll go faster.
Giants at 5.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people saying, Jeremiah Love doesn't get past the Giants. I don't think that they can be in that conversation for the similar reasons. It's number one on the flow chart is no. I don't trust that offensive line enough to be the team that Jeremiah Love cooks on. So I'm not drafting Jeremiah Love at 5 either. I also really like their backfield already, so I'm just not doing it.
If you thought Maui Noah was actually an elite guard, as Renner suggested, and Brandon Thor didn't suggest elite guard necessarily, but just a guard. As a plug, if he was a plug and play right guard onto that line, now that has Illuminor next to him at right tackle, that has Andrew Thomas at left tackle, it's looking better. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah,
but that's tough at 5. That's like Brandon Scherf went 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5.
That'd be a similar.
He went 5. Quentin Nelson went at 6. Right. Yeah, it's top of the end. It's top end of where you would draft a guard only, but that's usually assuming the draft is stocked full of, half a dozen blue chip players. And this draft, we keep saying, isn't. So if you would say, like in a normal season, an elite caliber guard goes 5 or 6, but this isn't a normal draft, maybe an elite guard can go higher than that because, the players we're talking about are not necessarily that elite caliber player. So, I do think there's an argument for Maui Noah. I think there's an argument. I mean, if you think Venga Ioane is that player, like an elite caliber guard. If you think that Spencer Fano is that player on the inside, there's a conversation for all those guys there. I'm not confident enough that any of them are. So that opens up all the other players we've been talking about. Sonny Styles, this is the first spot where I think all the non-value positions start to have a real thing, right? Will you draft Caleb Downs here at 5, just on the basis that he's the best football player in this draft? Maybe. Sonny Styles, off-the-ball linebacker. This is what I would do, not what I think will happen, but John Harbaugh has been talking a lot about how important it is to be able to stop the run. Like if you're giving up 4 or 5 yards, first down, you're done. Sonny Styles, off-the-ball linebacker.
Oh, I was going to say, where are you going with the run stopper there?
Yeah, like Sonny Styles. You get yourself a 250-pound linebacker to stop the run. That's what you do.
We started our Giants conversation during draft season about the Caleb Downs, Kyle Hamilton connection with John Harbaugh here. Do you think at corner, Monson Delane is now in the mix here with some of the questions they have there?
Again, certainly in a what I would do mock draft, I think Delane is absolutely in the conversation at 5 overall. Like, I think he's really, really good. His movement skills are sick. That season last year was absurd. Statistically, just performance-wise, he looked like an absolute top-tier corner. If he'd done that for 2 years instead of 1 year, I think you would be saying this is one of the best cornerback prospects to come along in years. Again, like everybody in this draft seems to have some slight weird red flag. He's got really short arms, even relative to cornerbacks. It's just an unusual thing about his profile that doesn't exist in a lot of other guys. It's why I think some people gravitate to Jamar McCoy a bit from Tennessee. I just think he's too good to ignore. So, I think he's absolutely in the conversation at 5.
I'll do it quickly, but in the love conversation for the Giants, I think on paper they have a great. I mean, assuming Scadaboo's healthy, Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scadaboo is an excellent running back room for the price.
Yeah,
bang for your buck. I do wonder if there were teams that were going to forget the analytical view. Are they the teams that have head coach with personnel power? Now, not to say that someone with a GM title hasn't drafted. I mean, the Giants drafted Saquon Barkley at 2 with Dave Gettleman. But I do wonder if Harbaugh is just like, give me the best player. I don't care about the financial ramifications as much. Just give me that great player, and let's move on.
You also wonder, coming out of an organization like Baltimore that most people widely regard as one of the best run organizations in the NFL, like how has that influenced what John Harbaugh thinks now that he has effectively full-time control? Now, I don't know how much influence he had. Again, the sort of credit pie, the percentage, like it was a collaborative thing, but theoretically Harbaugh didn't have final say in Baltimore. But how much say did he have? Did he have 49% say? Did he have 20%? Like, where was he in that? We don't know. Theoretically now he has total control, but is his instinct now to rebel against all the things that he wasn't allowed to do in Baltimore and be like, now I can finally go do what I wanted to do all along and draft like a running back and a nose tackle and, all these guys higher than I was allowed to? Or has that like actually influenced the way he thinks? And because he's come from this well-run analytical organization, is he like, no, I understand why you don't draft, a running back at 5 and a blah, blah, blah. We don't know that yet. Like, we haven't seen this.
I just want to highlight, too, the fact that the conversation we're having at 5 is so different than the conversation we've had at 5 in previous years, where the Chargers were at 5 or 6 a couple years ago, and the Bengals at 5 or 6, where we were talking about blue chip receiver, blue chip tackle, 2 valuable positions. What do? Do you take the receiver and then get the tackle? Do you take the tackle and then get the receiver? Either way, you can't go wrong between Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell. Can't go wrong between Joe Alt and Malik Neighbors. All of a sudden, we're asking 5 or 6 different players. Do you get a wide receiver 2 like Carnell Tate? Do you get a plug-and-play guard? Do you get a plug-and-play linebacker, a plug-and-play safety? Do you get the top corner on the board in Monson Delane, who's not seen as a top 5 prospect to this point? It's just a different conversation in this draft versus previous ones.
There is no you can't go wrong in this draft. Even at 2, we're like, which is the guy that scares you the least? Right?
It's a different draft.
The project tweener, the guy who might not be able to defend the run, or the guy whose arms are so short there's no way he can be a good NFL player. Like, that's at 2. We're having that conversation.
I think that or do you want the blue chip running back, right? So I think we're having
chip safety.
We're having different conversations now, and I think that's why this draft could be more wide open. Than any other any in previous years.
That's
because
a great
you don't have
way.
QBs, you don't have tackles, you don't have receivers who we are fairly certain to go in top 10.
I think that's a great way of articulating how this draft materializes. Like in previous years, you've been saying it's 6 overall. There's a can't miss pick. Does it matter whether you go Sewell or Chase? Yeah, but fundamentally, you're going to be right whatever one you choose, right? You got to then make the other pick and figure out who the next, what the position you didn't address, you'd need to address that from somewhere. But fundamentally, whether you pick Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell doesn't matter. You're getting a superstar player. And everyone was pretty confident of that at the time. Now, again, at number 2, you're not even confident of that, let alone number 5, where you're having that conversation, plus the additions of like, do you just take what you're fairly certain will be a really good player, but he's a running back and it might not matter if your offensive line isn't good, or he's a safety and that's just not a valuable enough position, or, So, yeah, that's a good way of articulating the relative weakness of this draft, I think.
Thank you. Go Giants.
All that being said.
As in, go with the Giants pick here.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
I'm going to do the Caleb Downs thing. I think people are overthinking Caleb Downs. I think he's just arguably the best football player in this draft. And at 5, I think that becomes...
Caleb Downs!
That becomes the spot where it just doesn't matter that he's only a safety.
Yeah.
Like, again, if he's as good as everybody thinks he is, a safety is worth the 5th overall pick. In this draft, particularly.
Caleb Downs to the Giants at 5. You're just getting the good football players here, man.
Correct.
Puts the Browns up on the clock at 6.
It does. And we've been saying, look, the Browns are probably coming out of the first round with a tackle and a wide receiver in some order, whether you go receiver first or tackle first. Maybe they could go in a different direction if they get trapped in a weird spot of value or a guy that's amazing falls to them. Again, I've seen people putting Jeremiah Love in the Browns. I think that would be crazy. To me...
After they drafted 2 running backs last year?
Yeah. Who both look pretty good.
Yeah.
And, by the way, your offensive line might still be ass.
I'm fairly confident of all the Jeremiah Love potential landing spots, it won't be Cleveland. Fairly confident. Right. That's as close as I'm going to get to vault me these days.
I think that one's the most, like, value-driven argument of, like, he's just too good to pass up. You just take him. It's like, yeah, but look at... Nothing says you should take him. Well, he might be, but again, it's
he is, but he's not
look
relative
at the flow chart. Like, the first thing might still be your offensive line might still suck. So it doesn't matter that he's that much better.
There's too many other high-value needs on the Browns.
But, yeah, that too. Again, whatever. My point being, the people that are making that argument are making it on the basis of Jeremiah Love is just too transcendent, too special a talent.
Where'd you find those people?
They're out there.
There's people out there for everything.
Yeah. Including people watching. No, I'm not going to do it. Flat earthers watching like spacecraft orbit the planet, being like, I could explain that away.
CGI.
Anyway, to me, it's starting to become...
By the way, I was not saying that. I wasn't saying it's CGI.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that's what they might say. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I think it's round.
Good.
Just want to go on the record.
Put it out there.
Just want to go on the record here.
can't believe we're in the year 2026. That's like a growing opinion that the Earth is flat. Absurd. Anyway, to me, it's becoming a clearer and clearer thing that Carnell Tate should be the pick here.
I like it.
Again, he's not Jamar Chase. Like, he wouldn't be wide receiver one in a lot of drafts, but he's wide receiver one in this draft. And the longer it goes, the more I think he's fairly clearly wide receiver one as well. So in this world of, do you take the receiver first? Do you take the tackle first? The tackles might not be as good as people think, or as generally. And then the wide receiver, there might be a bigger gap between 1 and 2. So take Tate.
I will vault me on the it's not flat. I'll go vault me on that.
You're fairly confident that you will never be proven wrong that
I'll go vault me on that.
Yeah.
More than I will the Browns not taking Jeremiah Love.
No, I think it's I would be pretty confident that you will never be proven wrong that the Earth is flat. You know?
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever going to conclusively prove that it is in fact just a plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think I think
the hottest draft take I have.
You can stand on that.
Yeah.
And be pretty confident.
Carnell Tate to the Browns at 6, puts Washington on the clock at 7. Is this the Jeremiah Love landing spot for you? As soon as he creeps out of the top 7, where people are going to start looking at this will never. Notre Dame fans hate it. They, can't do it.
If I'm the GM in the war room, this is the first one where I'm, we've tapped the sign. It's like, what's the answer to this question? This is the first one where I'm willing to entertain the idea that the answer might be yes. That the answer on the first step of the flowchart might be our offensive line or our total running environment.
Including the quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our total running environment, blocking system, or however you want to describe that, might be good enough to support Jeremiah Love as the first round draft pick. So move on to step number 2 in the flowchart. Well, then we start to get to what are we leaving on the table? And in this case, it's Sonny Styles, an off-the-ball linebacker. It's Francis Maui-Noah, who might be a guard. It's Mansour Delane, I think would be a serious one. Spencer Fano, the other offensive tackles. Like, it's wide receivers that aren't worth that position or that spot in the draft, I think, in Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson or whoever else you want to throw in there. Second-tier edge rushers, Mesidor, Falk. So that's one where I think you can say, all right, I see the argument for Jeremiah Love there. I think this is a real one where I think clearing step 1 in the flowchart probably takes you all the way through on the flowchart.
One piece that's been added here, that's why I appreciate the live chat, just adding a little extra context maybe that we need to consider. The Commanders have not many picks in this draft. Where are we? We're at 6 total picks, and they don't have another one because of the Laramie Tunsil trade until pick 71. That's one where, look, the Love discussion that you just had there, all fair, perfectly fair. But when you have 6 picks and you don't have another one until 71, and we're sitting here on Monday morning, hey, how did the Commanders draft? They got the running back in round 1, and then It's like, all right, a whole bunch of, hopeful developmental players and hopeful, long shot starters. Yeah. Is that going to feel not nice on Monday morning if you're Washington?
Just forget the Monday morning thing. After 2 days of the draft, they're going to have 2 names on the board unless they trade, right? So they're going to have, if you're doing that, you're going to have Jeremiah Love and then somebody at 71, right? So of all the needs that this team might have, receiver, defensive line, secondary, you got one name that you're slotting in there next to Jeremiah Love if you're making this draft.
And so the funny thing is, I don't know that the Commanders have a running back need.
Right.
So they don't have a need. So it's not like
their running game was productive.
So they don't have to go, if they don't go Love here, don't worry, get my favorite. Get Jonah Coleman at 71. Really like him at that range.
Or just rely on Bill.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Bill.
If the environment's already pretty good, and if you already have Jaden Daniels, and you got Bill, and you have pieces there.
But that's where the argument of Jeremiah Love being special, being transcendent comes in. It's like, the Eagles.
Rashad White.
But like the Eagles didn't have a running back need per se, right? Their running game was fine. Jalen Hurts was, incredibly good as a rushing quarterback, as a touchdown getter. Like, their running game was okay, but you bring in Saquon Barkley, add him to what was already the best offensive line in the NFL, and suddenly we're cooking on gas, baby, right? That's the argument for Jeremiah Love. It's like Washington doesn't have a need a running back, but if Jeremiah Love is that good, you put him in that environment, and suddenly you go to the moon.
Yeah.
Just like Artemis.
But I do wonder how much the Rashad White, not that it's not a big investment, but Rashad White, Bill Krosky merit, and then you could get with their secondary issues, Monson or Delane here.
Yes.
And look, the way you've done this mock draft, a bunch of the players that we like, the defensive linemen coming off the board, Carnell Tate, you took a lot of the players that I think we would probably lean on here if we were Washington. That might not happen in reality, but I think if I'm a Commanders fan, I would hope that either the Titans or Giants take Jeremiah Love so I don't have to have that discussion. And then you're going to get a receiver, corner, or pass rusher that you're going to feel good about at 7. I think that's the ideal for Washington, but because you're doing the mock, now we're sitting here saying, do we do the running back thing right now?
It's the first spot where I think I would be open to the argument that Jeremiah Love at 7 makes sense. And the interesting thing is if he doesn't, now I think we already answered this, but like if he doesn't get drafted here, I don't think he gets drafted at 8 or 9 because of the running back investments they already made. But I do think the Bengals would take him. And I would take him if I was the Bengals at 10. Like I don't even care that my defense is cheeks. I would draft him at 10.
We've done that before.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like
that's the team I probably feel the worst about drafting Jeremiah Love.
The thought experiment would be fun, except we've already done it.
30 a game and still lose.
But what if we scored 40? What if we average 45 a game? Like, how many points do we need to average?
It would be a great test for the force multiplier theory.
That's the thing.
Where it's like you've got Joe Burrow, 2 elite receivers.
Like, what if they drafted a slot receiver? Like, how many points do we need to average?
Lemon. Yeah. Add Mekhi Lemon would be such a good fit.
How many points do we need to average on offense for the defense to not matter? You know, that's what the Bengals may be playing with. Anyway,
what are the Commanders going to do?
I would say it's an interesting thought experiment, except we've already done it. So I think I'd take Love.
All right, do it. Jeremiah Love going to the Commanders here at 7. I don't know how I'd feel with Washington there. I don't know. I don't know about my feels. Saints are up at 8 here.
Yeah. So top players available according to this board: Sonny Styles, linebacker; Francis Mauigoa, tackle/guard, depending on how you see him; Mansour Delane, cornerback. Let's throw Jamon McCoy in there as well at cornerback. Other people have him as CB1. Safety, Thieneman, Oregon, who's been flying up since the combine, that crazy workout. Spencer Fano, tackle/interior offensive lineman Monroe Freeling, tackle from Georgia. I suppose Venga Ioane, guard.
It's another one where if you put Ioane or Mauigoa, whoever you like better, at right guard, replace Cesar Ruiz. And I told you that the offensive line was the 2 former first-rounders, Banks and Fuanga. Just signed David Edwards. Hopefully a healthy Eric McCoy at center, and you plug a rookie in at right guard.
Also,
that's an on-paper top 5-ish offensive line.
Imagine
top 5 to 8
movement at the point of attack that a combo block of Mauigoa and Fuanga would create. We're taking a guy and moving him off the line of scrimmage.
I mean, those are the discussions that are really enticing, I would say, for some of these teams in the top 10, where you know how difficult it is to build the offensive line.
Yeah.
They've just spent their last 2 first-rounders on offensive tackles. Is that too much? They have other needs. They could still use help from a defensive line perspective, but some of the top players are off the board. They could use secondary help, maybe Monson or Delane. But yeah, it's got to be enticing for some of those teams to plug in a right guard or a right tackle and upgrade the offensive line.
Yeah, I would be tempted at this spot. I'm kind of on the fence about where I would play Mauigoa, because I definitely, when you watch the tape, you can absolutely see why Renner wants to kick him inside to guard. Renner and others, Brandon Thorne. I get it. Like I understand why you want to move him in there. I do think he can play at right tackle, though, and be good enough. Now, again, where's the line between good enough right tackle versus potentially elite guard? And we were having those conversations about Quentin Nelson when he came out, right? Is he so good at guard that it makes more sense to just have him cook there than, well, what if he's a solid tackle?
Is that one for our draft myths and discussions that we need to add?
Yeah, Wednesday? Maybe the guard tackle thing. So I think there's a conversation to be had there, and I'm not sure where the line is, particularly because unlike Nelson, you're projecting Mauigoa into guard as opposed to having seen him do it already at a high level. But I think it's absolutely, and the same thing is true with Fano, I think, as well. Like I think he would be very good on the inside, but I also think he can play outside and be good too. So I don't know where you like. Maybe in this world that's a good thing in terms of raising a guy's floor and giving him more opportunities to not be bad. But you're comparing that versus Mansour Delane. Do you just take a really good corner prospect, or Sonny Styles, a potentially elite linebacker prospect as an off the ball linebacker?
I'm going to answer the chat. Why is cornerback not a need for the Saints? I can't answer what the screen is saying, but
Yes.
cornerback I think is absolutely a need. Even if they drafted Quincy Riley last year, they got Kool-Aid there, but I don't think they love Quincy Riley
I think it's definitely
enough
a need,
that
yeah.
it's not a need.
No, absolutely.
So I think Delane is a fascinating fit. I thought as soon as he ran sub 4.4, in addition to the elite tape last year at LSU and the uncertainty around some of these other players, I thought this dude's going top 10.
Yeah.
And the Commanders, I thought it was a good discussion there. It's a good discussion for the Saints at 8 as well.
Yeah, I'm taking Delane. I think he's a
there you
really,
go.
really good cornerback prospect.
So you're right. I was right. Delane is in play here. Saints are taking Delane at 8.
Yeah, he doesn't have the size or the arm length of a guy like Patrick Surtain, the second, 2.0. But I think that there's some similarities to their game, like the patience that he plays, the ability to just sit back, wait for a wide receiver to make his moves, and then go with him anyway is pretty rare.
So Saints take Monson Delane at 8. Puts the Chiefs up on the clock at pick 9 here.
It does. And the Chiefs have a lot of needs, weirdly, for a team that's been so successful for so long.
I think it just goes back to all these teams we're talking about in the draft. That, like, you could see, I know they're off the board. You could see Caleb Downs. You could make the case for a corner in Delane. You could make the case for the next receiver off the board. You could make a case for a lot of different positions for a lot of these teams picking, 5 through 15, whatever.
But
it
also,
may be.
the Chiefs have been one of those teams, a bit like Dallas for a while, where they've gone into a draft being like, they need to come out of this draft with the offensive tackle at the bottom of the first round. They need to come out of this with the complementary edge rusher in the bottom of the first round. Now you're like, they could take 4 or 5 spots, and it would be a good addition, a good upgrade, because they're bad there.
Now, some of the players that we've liked as fits there are off the board.
Yeah.
now. And again, that's happening because, when you do your own mock draft, you take the players that you like, and the teams a little bit lower don't have as many players that you like.
Yep.
That's what happens.
I think they're going to see value in the offensive line at this spot. So I think I would take Spencer Fano.
Okay, so we've had some Chiefs fans, which were reasonable fans. They weren't like, we're never going to do this, but we had one of our draft bets was that they're not going to take an offensive tackle. We've had some other Chiefs fans.
Now, this is an offensive lineman.
Oh, offensive lineman, Fano.
Who can do both.
Can do it all.
So maybe he's
You don't need him at guard, though, is the thing.
You
definitely don't need him at center.
You might be able to use him at guard, though.
You got Trey Smith and you got Kingsley.
Yeah, but, he might be better than Kingsley.
So just best 5 play type of deal.
Yeah. I might play him at left guard year 1 and then kick him at the tackle
because you got Jalen Moore with one more year.
Right.
At right tackle there. You've got Wanye Morris, who has not played well yet. So there's definitely a place. It's funny because I say this about fans all the time. Lance Zierlein, I feel like all of his feedback is like, I hate that you drafted this offensive lineman. Like, fans complain about their O-line.
He also might just be better than Jalen Moore day 1. So
no, that's true.
It's
much like Josh Simmons. Like, he was just plug and play and was ready to go.
There's multiple paths to the field for Fano.
I don't hate this pick.
Good.
At all. It's already in.
Yeah, it is.
So you've
It's
got
done.
the Chiefs.
I
Chiefs taking
made
Fano
the
at
pick.
9.
Deal with it.
I would defend it, is what I'm saying. Like, if I would defend it.
Yeah. I don't think how you could possibly look at the Chiefs' offensive line and be like, there's no. Admittedly, it wouldn't be the biggest the biggest need. If you were looking at their roster and being like, what is the biggest, most glaring need for this team? I wouldn't pick the offensive line. But that doesn't mean it's a bad pick to select an offensive lineman with your first draft pick. Number one, it's not your only draft pick. You can address other positions with other picks. But number two, it's not like it isn't a need at all. Like, it wasn't a good offensive line last year. So make it better.
All right. Bengals up on the clock at 10.
Yeah. I don't think they would necessarily, for similar arguments, I don't think they would necessarily be out of the offensive line marketplace. Like, if they loved a Francis Mauigoa or a Monroe Freeling or whoever, I think they could potentially be in the offensive line market. This is where, though, I wouldn't look past the mini slide that Sonny Styles has been on.
Yeah. The Bengals feel like they've got a little Cowboys to them where the discussions of taking some non-need picks I don't think you see that as much. I mean, again, the Cowboys have been back and forth. I think they've made some non-need picks, and those have been some awesome ones for them historically. The Bengals don't tend to deviate that way and say, let's future-proof the offensive line. It's very acute need. We need defense. Let's get defense. We need defensive line. Let's get defensive line.
Right.
I think Sonny Styles would be the pick here.
Their linebackers were too bad last year to not, do something about that position.
You just have to wonder, like we come at this from a vacuum. I wonder how much they say, well, we spent a 2 last year on Demetrius Knight. We liked him. He's just a rookie. We like him. Barrett Carter.
One of them's still going to play. Like
yeah,
your secondary, your entire defense is still in rough shape. Sonny Styles isn't getting everybody to the bench.
There's just the human nature aspect of we had two rookie linebackers last year who we drafted. We still have faith in them. Therefore, we cannot replace them. There's also just the honest, like they'll get better, and we have to make the pieces around them better. I mean, those are honest discussions. But you don't like if Bain was here or the D line was there. I think they might go that route.
Yeah.
But I think with Styles here, that makes sense.
Right. It's literally just, with what's available and with Sonny Styles sitting there, I don't see how you could realistically look past him.
All right, I'm going to let you reset the top 10 in a minute here. But right now, new FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. You turn $5 into $250 in bonus bets just for getting started. And when every possession matters in the playoffs, FanDuel makes it easier to get closer to the action. From player props to your favorite stars to all the tools you need to back them up, FanDuel puts player research right at your fingertips so you can check stats, trends, matchups all in one place and make your picks with confidence. It's everything you need all in one app, so don't miss your shot. Head to FanDuel.com/30third to get started. FanDuel, play your game. 21 plus in select states for Kansas affiliation, Kansas Star Casino, 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-MY-RESET, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York and call 877-770-7867 in Louisiana. All right, reset your top 10.
All right,
if you don't mind.
This what I would do mock draft. Number 1, the Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. Number 2, the New York Jets select Arvell Reese. Let's call him hybrid player from Ohio State. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals select Reuben Bain Jr., the edge rusher from Miami. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans select edge rusher David Bailey from Texas Tech. Number 5, the New York Giants select safety Caleb Downs from Ohio State. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns select wide receiver Carnell Tate from Ohio State. Number 7, the Washington Commanders select running back. That's right, I would take a running back this high. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. Number 8, the New Orleans Saints select cornerback Mansour Delane from LSU. Number 9, the Kansas City Chiefs select offensive lineman, tackle, or interior lineman Spencer Fano from Utah. And number 10, the Cincinnati Bengals, hometown, select linebacker Sonny Styles from Ohio State. Is that 4 Ohio State players in the top 10?
Wow.
It is.
It's funny because I thought last year's national title team felt like a whole bunch of second-round type of players that were draftable. The JTTs of the world, Ibuka being a fringe 1 to 2, and Tyleik Williams. But now this year's Ohio State team, still from the championship team, but 1 year removed, bunch of top 10 caliber players.
Maybe that's why maybe that's why the team was so good despite being only quote unquote second round guys everywhere, because all the first round guys were sitting there as well.
They were there,
ready for a year's time.
That championship team is loaded though, I think, as we're seeing, and the best player still hasn't come out yet, Jeremiah Smith. All right, so. Pick 11 here, Miami Dolphins, up on the clock.
Obviously, glaring acute wide receiver need, but also needs at corner, needs a lot of places, needs pretty much everywhere for Miami. I don't love any wide receiver enough to take him at 11, I don't think. Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., Denzel Boston, like whoever your favorite is in this group. And, I don't see anybody worth the 11th pick at this spot. Again, even in this weird draft where you're like, you don't necessarily love any of the players.
In addition to the fact that, again, I want to repeat this, new Packers-like regime here that's had success with day 2 receivers, the fact that they have a plethora of picks, and the Packers historically double up on positions of need. So if they drafted multiple corners, multiple receivers, wouldn't be surprising. So if they went, say, corner here and then had, 2 receivers later on day 2, would not be surprising.
Yeah, Miami has 11 draft picks to play with, so they're the opposite of Washington. We were like, you only got a couple of picks this first couple of days. I mean, they have 4 picks at the same time. We were saying Washington has 2, and then they have 3 more before the 100th pick in the draft. So they're going to be able to add a lot of names in the first couple of days of this draft.
And the other thing I'll add, remember when the Packers drafted Matthew Golden last year, how many times did we bring up the point, the Packers never draft first-round receivers, never do it, never do it, never do it. I'm not saying every organizational philosophy goes with everybody from that, tree, but that was a thing in Green Bay for a long time until they drafted Golden last year.
To me, this is probably between 2 guys. I think I would absolutely entertain the conversation for Jamad McCoy. There are people I think that like him as cornerback 1 that think he's special. I get it. I don't quite agree. I think he's a slight step down from Mansour Delane. So I'm not there with him. And then Francis Mauigoa, I think at this point, has just become in value. Like, whether or not you see him as a tackle or not, I think at the 11th overall pick in this draft, I think it's worth taking him.
I always bring up the point that I don't know matters. But when the first pick of a new regime, of a new head coach, and in this case, new head coach plus new GM, like when Robert Saleh is there in Tennessee, it's not the first pick for Mike Bergonzi there, but it's the new head coach. It's John Harbaugh, new head coach with the Giants. How much does that matter? I do wonder how much the Dolphins want to say, we want to go O-line with our first pick. We want to be – that has been the weakness on this team the last few years. We want to reset that, and then someone like Mauigoa or Fano's there, that it's just more attractive. Because if Fano was here, you have one more year of Austin Jackson at right tackle. He could play there. He could play right guard. Mauigoa, same thing, could play right guard year 1, move out to right tackle. That positional flexibility that you mentioned is in play here for Mauigoa. Plus, he went to Miami.
He did. You don't have to move him far.
Yeah.
It's difficult to kind of plot out, what this regime is going to look like, because no matter what they do, it's going to have a theoretically fairly similar schematic bones to it. So on the one hand, right, that offensive line has looked terrible for a while and consistently has overperformed that with that Mike McDaniel offense and the sort of Shanahan tree consistently hiding offensive lines to a degree. Now, obviously, he's not there anymore. On the other hand, Bobby Slowick is in there. The offense shares a family, at minimum. It's sort of related. Even if, they were bringing in wild Green Bay derivatives, it's all the same kind of family tree, ultimately, all of whom have done a pretty good job of hiding offensive lines. Like Green Bay's offensive line has not really looked amazing on paper, and yet it's never a problem. So on the one hand, you would look at it and say, man, this offensive line could really use some resources. On the other hand, every single offensive coach derivative from this sort of scheme has done a pretty good job of hiding it from the majority of their time in charge.
Guard tackle hybrid, though. Nothing says Packers regime more than that.
Exactly. So, and again, at this point, I think the value is there. So I don't know if Mauigoa is worth the 3rd overall draft pick, but I think he's definitely worth the 11th. So I'm taking Mauigoa.
Wow, there you go. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't looked at enough mock drafts. We've broken down Mel's and DJ and everything. Let us know. Has that been common? Mauigoa at 11 to the Dolphins? I like that.
Underdog is a very good mock draft sim that Hayden Winks has been spooling up over the last week or so. It's got some cool stuff, some cool features, what the most common pick is and all that kind of thing. So check theirs out.
Okay, I will.
Good.
Cowboys up on the clock at 12. You just wanted to get the deed pick, McCoy, at corner for them.
I mean, it doesn't hurt. I think Miami can go in a bunch of different ways. I think that Mauigoa was better value at this spot. But, yeah, Dallas wouldn't necessarily be in on him anyway. With him off the board, where else could you go if you're Dallas? You could go Thieneman at safety. You could go you could go edge rusher if you loved Mesidor or Falk or whoever. That's kind of it, right?
If you love Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah.
And you're not going to pay George Pickens.
I don't love Lemon that much.
Different skill set, obviously, but what I'm saying is,
yeah,
as far as receiver investment,
does seem like they might not pay him long term. By the way, this is maybe we'll just franchise him. Maybe we'll franchise him again and then let him leave.
If let's say they did the double franchise on Pickens, you know me, 3 wide receivers, love that. Love that. I love having 3 receivers. Good luck covering these 3 different players. And I know CD, you can play in the slot and move around, but CD Lamb, George Pickens, and Mekhi Lemon
I like
on
Lemon.
the field at the same time for
Yeah.
2 years.
I like Lemon. I don't love him. I
Yeah.
think if you're going to take him in the top 15, you need to love him. Like
Yeah.
you need to be that again. That if he sits on the spectrum between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Khalil Shakir, how close to Amon-Ra is he? If he's really, really close, I think, yeah, absolutely. First half of the first round is legit. If he's somewhere in the middle, it's probably not. And I think he's somewhere in the middle, not right up against Amon-Ra. So for me, I wouldn't draft him at 12. McCoy thinks too. It makes too much sense.
Jamad McCoy.
Yeah.
Going to the Cowboys at 12 here. Fill that need. They got
probably
Deron
the easiest.
Bland, Kobe Durant,
That's probably the easiest one so far that hasn't
Chavon Revel. Yeah.
been Mendoza.
Yeah, I could definitely see that one happening. Pick 13. It's the Rams.
It is.
Back up on the clock.
Okay.
Back
The Rams,
up, as in just up on the clock.
yeah, one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. So this is the problem with the trade thing, right? Is you always think about it from the Saints are on the clock. Whereas what you really need to be thinking is the Rams at pick number 13 might have their eye on somebody that's falling. Who would they go get?
Yeah.
And you never remember that until the Rams come up at pick number 13. Like, oh, yeah, they should have traded up a while ago. But they didn't.
The Rams are definitely a trade-up candidate.
So, like, of this draft where anybody relatively slid, like Maui Noah slid, they probably wouldn't do that. Sonny Styles slid a bit relative to expectations. Would they have jumped up for him?
I think it would just be one of those really good football
Right.
players.
Or would they have gone after Carnell Tate to get ahead to stop the Browns drafting him, say?
So since we haven't really talked about this on air, but Puka Nacua reportedly in rehab
Yeah.
over the last few weeks and months here. So we keep mentioning the Rams as the best roster on paper, in part because they have Puka Nacua and they have Devontae Adams. Now, Adams is in the last year of his deal. He's getting older. So I would say the biggest immediate, even short and long-term need is wide receiver, right? They could use somebody to be a wide receiver 3 if he's really good.
Or it's like it's not a short-term need at all, theoretically, but it's maybe quite an acute long-term need. Like it becomes a need very quickly.
The more stuff that comes out on Puka,
Yeah.
the less, not the less likely, but the more you've got reservations about giving the guy $40+ million,
it's
right?
certainly complicating his contract.
Similar to
situation.
what has happened with the Chiefs. Now, Rashee Rice, there would be no charges with whatever alleged incident may have happened within the last few months. But things have stacked up with Rashee Rice off the field, even if it's just smoke. Things are starting to stack up a little bit with Puka. Not from, it looks like he's got a problem standpoint, but from Rams have to have these conversations about whether or not he's going to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, he's already
So
demonstrated.
receiver's a thing.
Yeah, he's already demonstrated immaturity across multiple incidents now of varying degrees of severity. So it has to be complicating the contract situation because you're talking about making him one of the best paid players in football outside of a quarterback. And JSN just set the bar at that kind of level, and he's been as productive, if not more, than JSN. So that's the level you're talking about here. So they might go from we've got 2 really high-level wide receivers this year to next year. I mean, I imagine they'll find a way of keeping, but like they could have none. They could go from 2 to 0 in the space of 12 months. And meanwhile, if they drafted a wide receiver in the first round here, you've got fans being like, we don't need a wide receiver. We got 2 of them. Yeah, but for how long?
That's where I think the most likely need is wide receiver. You could argue, and Rams fans wouldn't argue this, they think their offensive line's fine. They're all on 1 year, they all have 1 year remaining.
Right.
So if you're looking to the future, like if Fano was there and he's, maybe an upgrade over McClendon, do you really trust McClendon long term just because he filled in nicely at right tackle last year? So offensive line is one of those places where you could say, okay, we can get a cheap long-term fixture in this added to this group where we're going to have to either pay guys or make decisions on players.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 2 biggest spots for the Rams. And a couple of linemen are now off the board, and Mekhi Lemon's going to be fascinating because to your point, if you don't think he could do everything, well, one of the best systems to avoid having to do everything is the Rams, where they rely less on a pure X receiver and more on tight splits and slot receiver types.
100%. This would be maybe the best situation in the NFL in terms of maximizing what Mekhi Lemon can do, even if you don't think he can do certain things. Like if you don't think, again, that Notre Dame tape sort of shows most clearly what his limitations are. And if you think, well, he can't play outside as an X against press coverage, right? And that's fine. But maybe more than any other system, the Rams system is one where they've got a track record now of taking guys that would also fit in that mold generally and not asking them to do that. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, all these guys that they've been able to deploy as sort of Z move slot receivers away from press coverage, and they've all been amongst the most productive receivers in the NFL during their time there. So, yeah, if Mekhi Lemon went to the Rams, I think that would there would be a lot of redundancy between him and Puka year one. But potentially going forward, if when Adams moves on, or if the Puka thing complicates itself even further, Mekhi Lemon would be a phenomenal player to have.
I think it makes a lot of sense for the Rams. I think it's starting to make more sense for the Rams.
I
wonder how much they play that. Does that feel threatening to Puka Nacua? Does it feel redundant? There's similar skill sets. I mean, Mekhi Lemon is on this slot receiver spectrum where you mentioned guys like Puka, who doesn't only line up in the slot, but he has those types of skills. You mentioned Amon-Ra. You can mention Chris Godwin, who's a little bit bigger. You can mention Cooper Kupp. You can mention Emeka Ibuka. So all these different style slot receivers who are on this different level of good to great. You know, where does Mekhi Lemon fall? And then can you run an offense if him and Puka Nacua are on the same, on the field at the same time? I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
But there's some things to consider there.
Yeah. It's right at the periphery of where I'm comfortable taking that guy. Like I feel some similarities between Mekhi Lemon and the Emeka Ibuka conversation from a year ago. It's like everyone sees him pretty much the same. The question is, how valuable is that?
What do you value?
And I thought it was rich where Tampa Bay drafted Ibuka last year. Like, I'm more comfortable taking a guy like that in the second round. The conversation around Mekhi Lemon is even more extreme potentially than Ibuka in terms of how high he's being pushed up drafts. Now, again, this draft may be weaker than it was a year ago. Like, maybe that's part of you have to bake in that inflation to the process. You're not simply comparing him to last year and saying, well, if Ibuka went there, then he shouldn't go any higher. It's not that clear, but there's quite a lot of offensive linemen on the board at this point. As you said, it's not a day one need, but everything the Rams are picking is not a day one need, right? So I don't think that's a reasonable argument. Well, this guy doesn't necessarily play day one. Yeah, but that might be true for every player they draft because their roster is that good.
Right.
So it's really a case of where does this guy fit long term, and or could he unseat somebody in the starting lineup? Like Dylan Thieneman could potentially start just by being better than one of their safeties, maybe. Or you're then projecting, well, does he fit? Do we have a spot opening up next year? The offensive lineman, there's definitely a spot opening up, potentially, unless they're trying to re-sign all of them, and that seems unlikely.
Yeah, it depends on what they feel about all those guys and how much they want to pay.
Yeah, so I think a guy like Monroe Freeling, I think, becomes a conversation. A guy like Ioane at guard becomes a conversation. Like, these guys, I think, are in that as well.
Ooh, Ioane, the way they started, because they used to be an outside zone scheme. They've been a much more downhill duo, power running downhill scheme. Ioane would be. I
really like Ioane for them.
Really interesting fit there.
The Mekhi Lemon thing just scares me too much at 13.
You're going Ioane here?
I think I am.
I've never seen that.
It's done.
I've never seen the Rams take Ioane at 13.
Also snipes him from the Ravens.
Sure does. You just want to win our bet.
Which I'm now regretting.
You just who do the Ravens take now? Wow, Ioane at 13 to the Rams, which is a more of a scheme fit than it was previously. Mm-hmm. All right, Ravens up at 14.
Dude, Ioane's a beast. Lenser, by the way, had a Ioane playing yesterday.
Really?
Rico.
Is he a power player too?
No, he's not. He's a pure speed guy.
Oh, interesting.
No power whatsoever.
Messes
well, not
with
no power. It's a bit harsh. But he's a winger.
Relative to Penn State's guard.
Center. He's a small guy with speed, quickness.
Ravens are up.
Yeah.
At 14.
They could go in a bunch of different ways. Again, they've got the wide receiver conversation. I don't see any of these wide receivers available answering the specific kind of need that I think they've had for a while. They're a little bit like Buffalo, where I think they need a specific type of wide receiver that I don't see available. They could take Kenyon Sadiq as the tight end, a team that's run a lot of multiple tight end sets, lost a couple this offseason. I think they need to backfill that to some degree. Do they need to backfill it to the degree of Kenyon Sadiq at 14 overall? Maybe not. Thieneman is interesting here because Thieneman, I think, his skill set meshes really nicely with Hamilton's, and I think also would maximize the chance that you keep Hamilton closer to the line of scrimmage where he makes the most impact, in my opinion.
I could not see him going to the Ravens here at 14.
Why not?
Because I can't see them spending 22, 23, 24, 3 out of 5 first-round picks on safeties.
Yeah.
Because last year, Malachi Starks.
Right. But
Hamilton in 22.
If you had Starks and Thieneman on your back end
No, I get it.
as your coverage,
I
and then
understand.
had that basically guarantees that you're playing Hamilton up and around the line of scrimmage where he's an absolute
I understand
monster.
the schematic benefit of that.
Other people might not.
No, I get it. My problem with the Ravens, who 2 years ago had the most solid starting 22 in the NFL, that's been chipped away at.
Yeah.
The offensive line's been chipped away at.
Right.
I think defensive line depth has been chipped away at.
I do wonder how much of that comes
Secondary.
back. Yeah.
How much of that's McDonald, did you say?
I do wonder how much of that comes back with the swappity-do, essentially, of McDonald to Minter.
Oh, I think it's a
over
fair
a 2-year period.
It's a fair question. Did Marlon Humphrey officially get released? Because I think
Did he? I missed that if it happened.
it could be one of those things that just came across my timeline and it either was fake or it just wasn't. I don't know.
Marlon Humphrey news.
Because it was rumored for a while.
Nope, doesn't look like it.
Okay, so maybe I got duped, but or maybe I dreamt it. I don't know. Oh, I had a dream the other day. I was playing linebacker for the Patriots.
What?
But they wanted me to start on special teams.
Yeah. You don't
And
do that.
I was not earning linebacker reps then. So what's funny in these, just why not take a couple minutes here
Why not?
or a minute? What's funny in
It's
these
not like we're
dreams,
behind schedule.
I always want to get to the point like where you're thrown into the situation that you've never done. I've never played NFL linebacker.
No.
But in this dream, I wanted to get thrown into some plays to see what it was like. Like how well did my dream replicate NFL linebacker play? Every night I have this somewhat recurring dream where I'm playing tight end for my high school football team. And I'm going out there and playing.
Who's
And
the most, like you would be the most out of, what's the closest?
Eric Gentry. Eric Gentry's a linebacker. He's 6'6", 220. He's 6'6".
What about, what was that guy's name, the Raiders? The Stork, Ted Hendricks. Didn't he play
How big was
linebacker? He was like 6'8" or something. He was like 6'8", 220 or something crazy like that.
The Stork.
Yeah,
I had a
that would be a good nickname for you.
an MLB scout nicknamed me the Crane
There you go.
in high school.
It's no big goofy, but it's
because I was like, arms and legs everywhere.
Ted Hendricks. This is the Stork, right? The Mad Stork, in fact, according to Wikipedia.
I don't know how that ended up, but I just was reminded. I had a dream, and I never got some reps. I woke up before I got some really good
before the reps.
Before I got some good linebacker reps. Belichick was the head coach again too. By the way.
Okay, there's a YouTube video that claims he's 6'8", but is listed at 6'7", 220.
I mean, 6'7", 6'8", we all round up.
Ted Hendricks has got to have one of the craziest.
Eric Gentry.
He's listed at 6'7", 220. Born in Guatemala. Played for the Raiders back in the heyday of madness that was the Raiders.
I was.
Walt's probably got his bio.
I'd have some pad.
firing
I
out
think
right
I'd have
now.
some pad level problems.
Yeah. Well, you'd be like, what's the kid's name from USC this year? That's
Gentry. I keep yelling out his name. Eric Gentry. Eric Gentry.
He'd be like him.
6'6".
Except he's
6'6".
like 215 or something ridiculous,
He
isn't
is.
he?
Yeah, I got 75 pounds on him.
Right.
Anyway,
There can't have been a 6'8",
but I didn't coming out of college.
280.
So anyway,
What
are we
back to
talking
your
about?
playing weight? I don't know. Where do we go? How do we?
so the Ravens,
Oh yeah, Ravens.
like the Ravens have. So when I see Kenyon Sadiq considered here, I get it. You're bringing up Thieneman. I don't want to go that way.
hate
I
it.
think they need
You
better, more help on the D line. I'm not
mean,
saying
look-
they have better answers there. It's like I feel like they could always add another receiver because of the uncertainty there.
Yeah, I don't like the receivers.
Cornerback is going to be a question for them both this year and in the future. That's just where they are. But I don't know if there's any good fits there.
Right. I don't like the receiver value or
Guard would have been great.
fit here. Guard would have been great. I don't love that. Unless you think Caden Proctor is an awesome guard. I don't love the guard spots here. And I could buy that. So in a what would I do mock? I don't think I would play Caden Proctor at tackle. I think I would play him at guard, at which point he does become a more interesting prospect around here.
The Ravens power guard here.
Yeah.
Do it.
But I also think I still badly need defensive line help. So, do I like a Mesidor enough to draft him here? I think I might.
Ooh.
So it's Thieneman, who you hate, Mesidor, who I think does make an impact here. I don't like Falk enough to draft him here. I don't like any other edge rusher.
An age peer for Trey Hendrickson.
Right. Or
Baltimore.
A Caden Proctor and play him at guard. I think Mesidor's just the cleanest fit there. He just comes in as day one impact at edge, opposite.
If that helps make Mike Green the designated pass rush type, and you've got Mesidor who you can move around. So you really liked Mesidor, and we both liked him like over guards, rushing against guards.
Yeah.
So the Baltimore NASCAR package of Mike Green, Mesidor, and Trey Hendrickson.
And it's funny because, Trevor Sikkema on the stock exchange was talking about how, this is the reason for that he didn't break out until age 26 or whatever, right, 24, is that, he started off as a defensive tackle and then he was moved all around the defense on the inside, was like nose tackle, was then sort of 4-eye, power inside 3-4 type of end, and then eventually moved out to this edge rusher position where he cooked for Miami. But as we were saying, like some of his most impressive plays, if not all of his most impressive plays, were those interior reps. So it's kind of complicated where you're like his breakout year came on the edge where he lost all the weight, became more of an edge rusher type of body.
But he was still moving around
at that
time.
He was still moving around, and arguably his most impressive production was still the old stuff. It was still where he belonged or where he originated as an interior type of player. I'm not quite sure what to do with that as a profile. But anyway, he's an interesting prospect, and I think he's really good. So I'm going to take him.
Chat says that there's the Ravens will not be drafting a 25-year-old.
They won't be doing it.
I assume that means,
not.
Again, if that's, as always, if you want to guarantee it, you could send us in your prediction, your bet. Now, that's too specific. Like, there's only one 25-year-old to really draft here in the first round. Is that because they already tried that with Hayden Hurst? Is that because we just know Eric DeCosta is too smart?
Does not do that, except that time they did.
Is it because it just failed the one time? Former pitcher turned baseball player, like me being a linebacker.
Again, for the millionth time.
Mesidor to the Ravens.
Anybody saying anything about the draft in pure declarative certain terms has clearly never watched more than one draft in their life.
All right, Bucks are up here
or
at
just
15.
Forgets every draft they watch because it happens every year. Something like that. Bucks, yes. Mm-hmm.
Mesidor, potential fit for them off the board. You're just taking the players for the...
I'm just sniping every team sequentially now. I'm screwing myself over time after time. Yeah, they could use defensive line, Keldrick Falk being the next edge rusher potentially. Let's see, if we limit this to edge and D-tackle, what do we get? Falk, Cassius Howell, Caden McDonald, T.J. Parker, Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, Christian Miller, blah, blah. Dion Young, or Mason Thomas. Yeah, don't love it. I don't think I would take any of those guys with the 15th overall pick.
Is this the point? Well, here's the thing. This is why I don't like doing mock drafts.
Yeah, because you screw yourself.
For myself.
Yeah.
Because you take all your favorite players.
Right, and then you're left with the
So do you understand? This is like, let's go through this thought exercise. You're doing this mock mostly how you would do it, right? Almost exclusively how you would do it. When a team says that they have 15 first-round grades,
yes,
I believe them. Because first round doesn't mean they're going top 32. It's a measure of...
This argument every year. Carry on.
Call it whatever you... We have 15... Our 15 top players we feel great about. They're in a different tier of evaluation than the next 15 and then the next 15. We have 15 players, however you want it, whether you call it first-round grade, whether you call it top players, elite players, blue-chip players, whatever you want to call it. Put a name on it. They have 15 players that they feel good about. And you're sitting here at pick 15, and you're kind of feeling, now this guy's got warts, and this guy, like the next group of players, you probably feel better about taking in the second round. Not all of them, but you probably feel better about taking in the second round. I think that's what teams are trying to convey. And then if they are the Bucks picking at 15, they just hope that one of their top 15 lasts.
Right, but the question is, what if it doesn't?
And that happens in reality because everybody's going to have different boards. And chances are, if you're picking at 20, one of your top 15 is probably going to be there.
So I think it makes perfect sense. Like people say every year, the people that say every year you should have 32 first-round grades on a player are crazy because there are going to be bad drafts, and sometimes there are not.
Yeah, and it's also a way to gauge across drafts.
Sometimes there are not 32 players that belong in the first round, but because of an absence of first-round caliber players. 32 people have to go in the first round every year, so you're going to get some non-caliber first-round players drafted in the first round. That's just how the world works, right? So there are going to be good drafts, there are going to be bad drafts. Some drafts are going to be 45 players with a first-round grade, and you're like, wow, look at this bounty. And then other years it's going to be 15 of them, whatever. That makes perfect sense to me. But if you go over like a 15-year sample size and you're averaging 15 first-round grades on players, then I think your system is broken, or it's not. Then either your naming process or your system is broken, because either you're not conveying what you're trying to convey, or you're not accurately evaluating what you're trying to evaluate, because over that amount of time, it should average out so that you get 32 first-round grades on a player. If what you're saying is there's only 15 people in a given year that are worth taking in the first round, and otherwise we got to reach or trade out. But then what happens if you're drafting 25 for a run of 3 years and you don't ever see one of your first-round graded players available to you? What's your plan?
It's all semantics, because the difference between a first-round player, if you're picking at 25, you're 7 picks from the second round. Like, it's just all semantics, right?
Yeah, but that's why it just doesn't make any sense to me as a thing. It's like, if you can't, it doesn't make any sense to me to go around for like a series of 10 years, be like, we only ever have 15 first-round graded players on our board. It's like, yeah, but if you're drafting at 24 for 3 straight years, well, then your board is useless to me. Don't tell me that. That's an irrelevant piece of information to what I'm asking. I need to know as the GM. So you're the analytics guy, being like, here's our board. There's only ever 12 players on it. Like, all right, I'm drafting 24. Who do I draft? Is what I'm asking you. Don't tell me you only have 12 first-round graded players. That's useless to me.
Because you hope that teams aren't going to have the same board as you. Anyway, Bucks are up here at
right,
15.
but sitting there with 12 guys you're comfortable drafting and just hoping one of them is available is not a useful strategy to me either. Like, I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the board doesn't just run out. Then you have a decision to make.
Yeah, but the solution shouldn't then be, well, then we just reach by a round. Like, this, it's a dumb way of conveying whatever this discussion is.
Keep trading down, baby.
And I don't know if that's just like somebody simplifying it for the idiot journalist that's asking the question, or if that's actually how they approach this thing, but it's not a useful way of discussing the entire process to me as a GM for 32 individual teams. Anyway, for Tampa Bay, I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't want to do a mock next week either.
Don't love any of the edge rushers.
I don't want to make 32 picks.
I mean, again, this is where Sadiq, I think, is an option for them, even though they re-signed Cade Otton. Just give.
Oh, he's a good compliment to Otton.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think, by the way, as much as we're 12 months removed from people thinking drafting Ibuka in the first round was crazy because of the wide receiver depth they had, I think you could make an argument they could draft another wide receiver this year and it wouldn't be nuts.
Oh, absolutely.
Mike Evans is gone. Chris Godwin might not be useful anymore given just how many injuries he's had. I love Chris Godwin, but it would be, I don't want to say negligent, but it would be a risk to just assume he's going to come back and be Chris Godwin again, right? So you might be in the situation that you were in for periods of last year where wide receiver 1 is Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver 2 is like Jalen McMillan, and then Tez Johnson. I mean, it's not the worst receiver room in the world, but you're telling me that group couldn't use a first-round wide receiver added to it?
Let me propose something here.
Sure.
2 things. First off, you mentioned the underdog guys.
I did.
Josh and Hayden. Josh Norris, I saw him put out there recently that he thinks Casey Concepcion, and he mentioned one other player, that he just sees as higher than the consensus.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking at it.
There's enough people now saying that about Concepcion that I feel like the consensus must be changing.
The consensus is 29 right now.
Yeah.
As of
it's got to be going
record
up,
time.
It's the number of people.
But this is Josh either saying, I really like him as a player, or I'm predicting what the NFL is going to like in him as a player. So he's saying he thinks Concepcion's going to go higher than this number 29 consensus. The second thing I'll add, with Mike Evans out, he's not a pure 40-time speed guy, but he's a vertical threat. Mm-hmm. He's fast. They have no speed on this team.
And as a guy that can win
offense.
On the outside in those areas that Mike Evans won.
There is no speed on this Bucs offense. Jalen McMillan, average speed. Emeka Ibuka, average speed. Chris Godwin, below average speed at this point in his career.
Tez, albeit in a weird way.
Tez is fast and quick, but again, is he going to even see the field enough? Even Bucky Irving isn't a pure speed guy.
Not at all. I mean,
right? These are all good players. They're all fine players. They don't have a speed component. I wonder if Concepcion is the type of player that would be in play here for the Bucs.
I think there's an argument for both Jordan Tyson and Concepcion. I mean, obviously either one of them. I think both those guys are actually in the conversation. Again, I feel like I think there are enough people hyping up Concepcion at this point. Like, I think if you were comfortable, if his ball skills were better, he would be wide receiver 1 in this draft class to me. Maybe. I mean, you'd at least make that argument. He's maybe the best route runner in the class. He gets open really well. He's good after the catch. He's stronger than you think he is. I just have concerns about every aspect of his ball skills. Not that they're catastrophic, but that they're all borderline of this could go either way. And if they go the wrong way, then you just drafted a good route runner who's not going to be good at the catch point in the first round, and that's risky. If they go the good way, well, then you might have drafted wide receiver 1 at wide receiver 2 spot.
And I'm not saying Concepcion's a bad football player, but the way the Bucs have drafted the last couple of years, it's just been like the good, dependable football player over and over and over again. The Benjamin Morrisons, Jacob Parrish, Emeka Ibuka, Bucky Irving a couple of years ago. Like, it's just been the good Jalen McMillan, good, solid, dependable football player. Concepcion feels like more of a boomer bust type of prospect relative to the way they've drafted the last few years.
Yeah, he is. But I can't see a clean. Like, again, everyone you're thinking of adding here has got something to be scared of. Even Sadiq, who
their cornerback room's taken a hit. Linebacker, we know, has taken a hit with Levante David retiring, even with Alex Anzalone coming in. So there are some needs. We talked about pass rusher. Just not a lot of great fits here at 15.
It's really not.
That you feel good about.
It really isn't. I don't love it. This might be my least favorite spot of the draft so far.
But if we were doing a back and forth mock, it might be fine because I'd be picking some players that maybe didn't like.
But I don't like this.
Not when you're.
I don't like this at all. I mean, I might just take a Falk and hope that he's good.
Oh boy.
He's not a bad football player. It's just there's quite a lot of projection involved in him.
But that's one that's similar to the Bucs. Like, it's a high floor player, as in you'll get a good run defender, you'll get a multi-gap player. He would fit the multi-gap Logan Hall spot where Logan Hall's just left and gone.
I'm going to do it. I don't love Concepcion enough to take him at that spot. I get it, and if somebody did it, I would applaud them. But I'm scared enough of his ball skills.
So you're going Keldrick Falk here.
Yes.
For the Bucs at 15.
Man, we need to pick up the pace.
Yeah, we'll start going quicker here. Jets at 16.
Yeah, we took Arvell Reese at number 2. They're back around again. We're set at tackle, comfortable there. This is where I think doesn't Lemon make a lot of sense here? I mean, I know it's only 3 spots later that I was not as comfortable taking him, but like you've got Garrett Wilson.
I like
That's
Lemon
a complimentary
enough in
skill
this spot.
set. He is good. Like, I'm very confident that Mekhi Lemon will be good. It's how good will he be and how valuable is that?
Just add good football players.
The lower down the draft you get, the more comfortable you are with that, and we've already spent a first-round pick on a guy that could be special. Lemon. Let's do it.
All right, Mekhi Lemon to the Jets. By the way, I was thinking of this the other day when I was watching Miami more and more. Do you think a team could look at Bain and Mesidor? Like, could the Jets look at Bain and Mesidor?
Re-team them up?
And say, we want them at 2 and 16. Like, in an ideal world, the same way the Rams did with Jared Verse and
those
Braden
guys
Fisk.
worked so well as a tandem as well. Like, the number of times they wrecked shop together in concert. Yeah, absolutely.
The Jets are the only team that could really pull it off because they have 2 and 16.
Picks.
And that's a little, I mean, you'd have to say we have to get Mesidor at 16. Just an interesting thought exercise there.
The Browns, I guess, could, but they're not going to. Who else has 2 first-round picks?
Cowboys.
Cowboys 12.
I mean, if Bain fell at 12, theoretically Bain could fall.
12 and 20 could happen, but they're probably not going to do that.
I don't think Dallas would do that with the corner and
There's not enough teams
issues.
with the 2 first-round picks with also glaring defensive line needs that bad. But yeah, absolutely, they could. It's like when the Rams drafted that pair that worked just like
that's what made me think of it. Verse and Fisk.
Yeah, in perfect tandem. Yeah, I guess they could, but probably not.
Number 17, Detroit Lions.
They would run the Monroe Freeling card in, I think, at this spot.
You think so?
Yeah, done.
All right. We're not going to. Sorry, Lions fans.
And I'm also going to try and convince Dan to keep Penei Sewell at right tackle. Just be like, hey, Dan, I know you want to do it. I know you're jonesing for it to move him to left tackle, but just keep him on the right side.
And again, my 2 cents on that is it doesn't matter if he's left or I think he can play left tackle, fine. There's some risk inherently just because he's played right tackle for a few years and now making him move because he's already in the NFL. And it's not more valuable having him on the left versus the right. It's equal value for the football
I like
team.
the flexibility that you can move him if you need to. If you draft a guy that you think is a right tackle and has played right tackle and you want to keep him there, we're comfortable moving Penei Sewell to the left side and all's good, right? But if you're drafting a left tackle who's played on the left side, and that's I don't see why you would mess with that.
Chat, the Chiefs could do it. Get the Bain-Mesidor combination.
Yes. Yeah, they could.
Bain at 9 and then Mesidor at 29, either trading up or whatever it may be.
Or even just if he slides there because
or
people are scared of
Yeah, we have
25.
no idea where Mesidor is going to go.
Yeah.
At his age.
That's what I'm saying.
As an old
people
man.
are scared of him as a 25-year-old.
Vikings on the clock at 18.
That would be fun if the Chiefs did that. The chalk pick is Thieneman to the Vikings and has been for the whole damn way. It makes some sense. They could use potentially future-proofing tight end with Hawkinson redoing his deal, but maybe now as a short-term solution there. Sadiq for them would be interesting. Jordan Tyson or Omar Cooper Jr. or whoever your wide receiver, Casey Concepcion, that you like, would give you some potential insurance and or succession for not having to pay and keep
Jordan Addison.
around the place, given, again, he's had some run-ins with the law. So I don't think wide receiver would be crazy. I also don't think that, again, people, it's like, well, Harrison Smith left, therefore there's this glaring acute need at safety. It's like, they have 2 starting caliber safeties. Like, they've been deploying 3 of them
It's just been a 3 safety.
Right. But it's like, it's not as acute a need at safety as other teams have. And yet people are like, the Vikings desperately need it.
I think for me, it's less about the need and more about the fit.
Right.
Just the free safety skills that Thieneman has, the athleticism, the ball skills. I just think he's a really good fit.
Sure.
I don't think it's the most glaring need. I really think receiver might be the most glaring need because I don't see them locking up Addison long term.
Maybe.
And if the
I don't know
right
if they would,
receiver,
though.
I think it's receiver and corner.
You know what I
that
saw?
would be looking at more.
I saw a tweet the other day. I forget what the time was. Was it since 2010 or since 2000 maybe? Over quite a large sample size of time. So it spans obviously multiple regimes for every team. It was the number of arrests per team. And the Minnesota Vikings led the league. I didn't expect that.
So in college, we used to call this the Fulmer Cup.
Okay.
Philip Fulmer, the old Tennessee coach.
Yeah.
I believe it was the SB Nation guys that started that whole thing. They used to have an off-season competition every year. So you're saying the Vikings are number 1?
Yeah, they're number 1. Again, I forget what the time period is, but the Minnesota Vikings were number 1. I did not expect to see that. The Bengals were 3, I think, which I did expect to see.
You throwing our friend Rick under the bus here because he's been the GM for a big chunk of
He
that.
has been the big GM. Again, I forget what the time scale was, so I don't know how much of that is Rick's fault. But
It's not Rick's fault.
a lot of arrests under Minnesota's time. So, maybe they're comfortable with the Jordan Addison is what I'm saying. He's only responsible for a couple of them. They had 50-something, well, whatever. Maybe they're fine with locking them up long term.
Oh, jeez. Fulmer Cup winner.
Yeah, Minnesota Vikings.
Where are you going to go with
Who'd
Minnesota?
have thunk it? I do like the wide receiver thing.
Just who?
Yeah.
We will break down some injury risks historically. I got a big list of players that we can go back and rehash what we thought about them coming out,
Right.
and then what they did. We'll
Also,
talk about that Wednesday. But Jordan Tyson is one of the biggest names on that list this
Also,
year.
Avion Terrell, by the way, corner would be an interesting option. I'm going
And
to go.
he just injured himself at Pro Day the other day.
Did he?
Hamstring.
A hamstring.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's not, but it's a thing.
That's fine. I'm going to draft Omar Cooper Jr. Best run after the catch receiver in this draft. I think replaces a lot of the insurance area that Addison has if you're concerned about him long term, and also adds an extra layer to this offense that they don't have necessarily. Not that they don't have. I mean, Jefferson's good after the catch as well, but like Omar Cooper Jr. is a skill set that meshes with those two and potentially replaces Addison.
Omar Cooper puts the Panthers up on the clock at 13 or 19. I was actually going to bring up receiver for the Panthers.
I think, by the way, this is a really deep safety class, so I'm comfortable coming back later for a safety.
Yeah. The Panthers have been doing some work on receiver.
Yeah.
And so for the second straight year, every time we talk about the Panthers in the mock draft, we have talked about certain position groups or maybe just the defense. We have not thought about receiver again. I'm curious to know if Cooper, who could play in the slot, Mekhi Lemon, who might be a slot only, if those guys are available there at 19, if that's where they go to complement last year's first-round pick, Tedero McMillan and Jalen Coker.
I think the compliment for them is Concepcion. I think Concepcion is like a supercharged version of what they were doing with Jimmy Horn Jr. last year. He's got the speed. He's got a lot of those skills that they can deploy. They were using Jimmy Horn Jr. as the the gadget end around type of guy as well. Like imagine that case Concepcion was getting legitimate backfield carries back at North Carolina, NC State, wherever he was.
NC State, yep.
I think he would be the guy that's the perfect mesh for those receivers.
Chat wants Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, but we know.
Doctor wouldn't let him.
So I would have to overrule the doctor. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's gonna
be upset.
He's gonna fire some data your way.
Right. Be like, this is why you can't draft him.
Dan,
I'm like, look,
don't do this.
Whose name's
Sam,
at the top?
don't do this.
Whose name's at the top of this org chart here? It's not yours. It's mine.
It's mine.
It's all right.
Do you overrule him for Kenyon Sadiq?
Yeah, it is their biggest
19.
need. It is the spot they need the most, and the only reason they wouldn't is because they're more analytically inclined than that. Done.
All right, Kenyon Sadiq, 19.
Sorry, doctor.
To the Panthers. No, it's good.
You can draft the next one.
I hope they do it in real life. Cowboys at 20. They've already gotten Jermod McCoy.
Yeah. They could take a Thieneman at this spot.
Oh, I like that.
This is where I would start. 20 is where I would start to seriously entertain the idea of
Cassius Howell.
Drafting Jacob Rodriguez. I haven't seen a good argument for why he's not a first-round player. I really haven't. And yet, where is he on the consensus? He's still nowhere near that, right? Jacob, 45 on the consensus. Well, I don't understand why that isn't 20 spots higher.
He's creeping up.
But slowly. Once you sort of answered the idea that, it turns out the guy you might have had athletic concerns is an elite athlete as well, then what's the negative?
His profile reminds me a little bit of Edgerrin Cooper a couple years ago, who I think had first-round talent, ability, and production, and just becomes a steal in the second round for the Packers. If Rodriguez goes in the second round.
There are players every year where it's like everybody seems to sort of universally agree that they're better than their current, consensus mock draft spot or draft spot, and then they just become really good players at the next level.
I would love why Jack Campbell went at 18 when he was in the 30s on the consensus board.
But you're just but even the ones that don't get drafted any higher than that, right? The ones that actually get drafted right around their consensus spot, but all the way along, everyone was like, they're a better player than that. They will be a better player than that. They then become a better player than that. And you're left just wondering, well, then why were we artificially 30 spots lower on them than everyone assumed they should be?
You don't have to be.
That's where I feel. Yeah, that's what I feel about Rodriguez, and that's why, as Cowboys general manager, I'm drafting him here.
Look at you, Jerry.
Once I scroll down far enough to find him on this board.
I will do a reset in a minute here,
Done.
We'll list out picks 11 through 20.
Also, he wears a cowboy hat and he's got a mustache, like he's perfect.
He's a perfect cowboy.
Right.
Him and the doctor will have matching cowboy hats. They'll move to the felt hat during the wintertime at the right time.
Hopefully,
they'll be on the same page.
The way, like, every now and again, you'll see a player and he's got, like, a special handshake with the water boy or whatever. Like, I hope Rodriguez and the doctor have, like, a special dap that they go to.
Not because he's injured, just because.
No, just because they're two Texans.
Two Texans. Quick break to talk about our friends over at Root Insurance. Root Insurance believes that good drivers deserve better rates, so they've created a new kind of car insurance that rewards good drivers in an easy-to-use app. Traditional car insurance companies focus on demographics like age, zip code, occupation, and credit score to price your coverage, but when Root offers a rate, your behavior behind the wheel gets more weight than any other single factor. They don't use occupation or education level to negatively affect your rate. While you drive, Root gathers and analyzes data from your smartphone sensors, and after a few weeks, you'll get a car insurance quote based primarily on your driving. Save up to 44% off your initial Root quote after you take the test drive. If you need a tow truck, jump start, or lock your keys in the car, Root will cover the help you need to get back on the road when you opt into roadside assistance. The Root app makes it easy to edit your coverage, update your policy, or file a claim in just 3 minutes. You get started today at Root.com.
All right, reset. Pick number 11 in the What I Would Do mock draft. The Miami Dolphins selected Francis Mauigoa, tackle/guard from Miami, Florida. Pick number 12, the Dallas Cowboys selected Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee. Pick number 13, the Los Angeles Rams selected Venga Yawani, the guard from Penn State. Pick number 14, the Baltimore Ravens selected Akeem Mezdor, edge rusher from Miami. Pick number 15, again, they always go back-to-back. I didn't even realize that this time. Pick number 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Keldrick Falk, the 20-year-old edge rusher from Auburn. Pick number 16, the Jets got Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver from USC. Pick number 17, the Detroit Lions selected tackle Monroe Freeling from Georgia. Pick number 18, the Minnesota Vikings drafted wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. Pick number 19, the Carolina Panthers, selected tight end Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. And then pick number 20, Dallas Cowboys selected linebacker/Texan Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech.
Linebacker / Texan. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Texas thing. Texans stick together. Texas forever.
Steelers up on the clock now at pick 21.
Yeah. Oh, look, here we go. We got Jacob Rodriguez. Tape. Just locking people down in the one-on-ones. Again, I brought this up at some point, I think, right? But I heard, I think it was Greg Olson talking about this one time, that Luke Kuechly would always say that the key to those sort of two-way go plays where the linebacker is in trouble against a Christian McCaffrey is overplay it to the inside, make him cut outside because it's a harder throw.
Right.
It's a more difficult thing, and you can get back at it. Whereas the worst thing that could happen is you let him cross your face and he's over the middle and you're screwed, right? And Rodriguez played those one-on-one drills that way every single rep. He's like, I'm going to overset to the inside. If you want to come inside, you're going to have to run through me. I am showing you outside. And it also means you kind of know what's coming then, right? It's no longer really a two-way go because you've taken away one of the ways and you can break early in the outside thing. He played it like that, like he was listening to Kuechly and dominated because of it.
Maybe it's just the veteran savvy.
That's what I'm saying.
Drake Holiday reminds us that he is 23 years old. Maybe it's just the veteran savvy.
Man knows how to play ball.
He knows how to convince us that he's better than he is.
Yeah.
In the draft process.
Pittsburgh. I'm not doing the Ty Simpson thing.
Oh.
I'm not doing it. I'm not where these Ty Simpson promoters are.
All right, since this is your mock draft, where would you take Ty Simpson? Are you a Jets in the second? Where would you slot him in your perfect world here?
I mean, look, in an ideal world, I think a player like that is a second-round draft pick. Unless I'm the GM for every single team simultaneously, and I'm confident that therefore I'm not going to draft him until the second round. Unless that's the case, you also have to be realistic and think if you want him, he's probably going in the first round, right? So that's the problem is I would only draft him, I think, if it's the third pick and I could figure out a way of making it happen, right? I'm not drafting him with my first pick.
I don't think he goes in the first.
I not draft him in my second. I think he will.
As of today, do you think he goes in the first round?
Yes.
I do not.
Even if it's by a team trading back into the first, I think he will go in round one.
If I was putting money on it today,
I also have always thought
that
about. Like, I generally buy into the idea that quarterbacks get overdrafted even when they don't. Like, sometimes you get the Kenny Pickett year, and it's like, look, everyone just sat and didn't draft him. Maybe that's the case. But I also think, I know it happened with Tyler Shuck. Generally speaking, the second-round quarterback is dying out as a thing, right? I think they either view them as you can start, in which case they're round one guys, or they view them as you can't start, you're a backup with some upside, in which case they're third and beyond. So if anybody views him as a starting quarterback, I think he goes in round one.
I just don't know if there's enough needy teams for him to go in round one. So I would predict round two. That's just where I'm at right now. Yeah. So you go ahead.
I think he's a second-round quarterback who goes in round one, but I'm not doing it.
Steelers. What are you thinking about here?
I think I'm thinking wide receiver here.
Yeah.
This is where I might draft Concepcion.
Now that, as a compliment to DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman, is really interesting.
Yeah. I don't hate. I watched the draft video that Underdog did with Josh Norris and Hayden Winks, and they were very confused with Jordan Tyson as a prospect. I kind of had similar thoughts that I see him and Concepcion in vaguely similar ways. I think they've got some similarities to them, but Tyson has the added injury concern stuff.
Do you think the difference is literally just the drops from Concepcion?
No, because I think Tyson has a pretty bad drop rate as well for his career, just not this year.
He had one this year, I think.
Right. So it's like he had a bad overall career drop rate, but then this year tidied it up and had one. I think both of them actually suffer from vaguely similar ball skill problems. It's just that Tyson's didn't necessarily manifest this year. I think they're similar in terms of they both win with route running prowess. Now, I think they do it in different ways. Tyson is more, I think he's more of a sudden, jinky, head fakey type of guy versus Concepcion just being a smooth all-round route runner, right? So Tyson, I forget who it was, whether it was that video or somebody else, that was sort of describing it as Tyson almost wants to it's like his goal is almost I want to get as much separation as humanly possible. That's the trick, right? Like I'm going to try and get 8 yards of separation, whereas realistically all I need is 2, and then I'm away. And it's like sometimes he tries too hard with the sort of extra head fake and shift and move to break as wide open as humanly possible, which generally is a good thing. But it's like sometimes just run the route and get open and make the play. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like he's trying too hard to just lose a guy.
Poetic license as a route runner is not usually
Always,
a good thing.
yeah.
Not usually a good thing. Unless you know you got the Stevie Johnson.
Yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's quite as bad as like one of the most famous routes like in Senior Bowl history is that rep of Kadarius Toney like tying a guy in absolute knots and then dropping the ball at the end of it, and you're like, man, it's kind of sadly symbolic of his entire career. But anyway,
according to, I got some numbers really quick for you. Concepcion's 28th percentile drop rate against NFL prospects historically.
Okay, yeah.
28th percentile, not good. Right. Tyson's 50 in the 50s
for his career.
For a career, he's 57th percentile.
Right.
So it's still below average what good players usually are drop rate wise for Tyson, but a lot of them came early in his career.
Agreed. So that's the thing. I think he got better at it every year of his career. So if you want to be, like, generally speaking, the way to look at it is just take the career numbers and roll it up, right? On the other hand, if you want to say, well, the guy got better every year of his career, he's trending in the right direction, and last year was fine, well, then you could convince yourself it's not a problem at all. I also think he's got a bunch of sort of contortionist, elite catches on his tape, but I actually think he had some of the same problems at the catch point that Concepcion did in terms of not necessarily natural catching. Anyway, I think generally speaking, they're similar players in a bunch of different ways. But Tyson has a concerning injury history. I think Concepcion's is cleaner, if not necessarily 100% clean. Point being, the board here has Tyson significantly higher. I think of the two, I would draft Concepcion.
All right.
And therefore, I'm doing that now.
Steelers taking Casey Concepcion at 21.
Yeah. Chargers on the clock. I'm protecting MVP candidate Justin Herbert, even if the Chargers are.
You going next guard up here?
Yeah, I'm going next guard up, which on my board is Caden Proctor. Done.
Oh, there we go.
I'm taking a mammoth Alabama offensive tackle. I'm kicking him into guard. I'm saying go move some people.
No Chargers. You've no Chargers discussion here.
They need an offensive lineman. They need a guy in the interior. I'm not doing it. I'm GM for the Chargers. I'm not having any situation where we run into the season with the same offensive line shit show that we had last year. And okay,
just want to prove to the people
we
that
got
if you
Alton Slater back,
give your guy some protection.
And we signed a center in free agency. But I'm not putting Cole Strange out there in front of my MVP.
Oh, I may have taken the Eagles guy at 23. Proctor. Eagles are up at 23.
Yeah, I'm just sniping myself every single pick in this draft.
That's what happens.
Do the Eagles need to replace an exciting white with an exciting white?
Oh, Thieneman.
They really do need a safety. Like, honestly, this might be the pick.
Oh, yeah, Thieneman.
Like, they let Ed Reed Blankenship leave. They then traded away Brown.
Sydney.
Yeah. They really need a Thieneman.
Got Makuba, Drake Holiday, our friend
Emmanuel
Drake's
McNeil
guy,
Warren.
Makuba. Get Thieneman there with him.
Or an Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Oh, the chat does remind that Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. If you're going to go Proctor.
I don't think that's a problem. Proctor, I don't think, as an interior player.
He does move.
Proctor's
well
footwork and movement skills are not prohibitive for a zone scheme.
He's not just your classic 350.
Right. Like, just because he's 350 and looks like a monster, I don't think you look at that guy and say, that guy can't play in anything that involves movement. His movement skills are really good.
That's why they were feeding him screens.
Again, yeah, right. Particularly, right. Find me a duo-specific offensive lineman that's catching bubble screens out here. But that's what, especially for a guard. Like, if you're moving him inside, you're telling me he doesn't have the speed and footwork to operate in a movement-based blocking scheme? No problem with that.
Just glad you did it.
So, yeah, Eagles, Thieneman or McNeil Warren, I think, are serious considerations. Defensive line depth, you're in the Cassius Howell, Caden McDonald, TJ Parker, Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, it's one of the safeties.
Oh, go Thieneman here. I love that.
I have to. It's too fitting.
This would mean what?
Now he could be the other one.
This would mean as of right now, 4 out of their last 5 premium picks have been on the secondary, first and second rounders. The other one on linebacker. If they did this right now, just saying, that's where the Eagles are. I really think they want the trench players to fall to them at this point. Who's up now?
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns now at 24. Already got Carnell Tate at 6.
Yeah, so this is where you're like, okay, now you look at the tackle depth at this spot in the draft. We've got Blake Miller from Clemson, Max Ihanicher, hopefully, and at the top of the second, bottom of the first kind of range. Caleb Lomu, if you like him, the other Utah offensive tackle. All the tackles? Yeah, that's probably all the ones that are in discussion. So that's the flip side of this for Cleveland. Alternatively, had they drafted the tackle they liked at 6, you would have had Jordan Tyson on the board at this spot. So that's the counterfactual for either one of these things.
And I know you're making all the picks, but we really don't know where we don't know where Tyson's going to land.
Right.
With some of these questions.
Yeah. I've seen people saying he might slip into the second round because of all these injuries.
Yeah.
So who knows? I think I'm just going to take Blake Miller and complete the wide receiver tackle set.
I like it. Well, he would potentially have to move from right tackle to left tackle here. Ihanicher would have to do the same. So Lomu would not. That's the only differences there. Bears at pick 25. Where are you going to go for Chicago?
I think defensive line is where I'm looking first and foremost for them. So any of the guys we mentioned a minute ago, Cassius Howell, the edge rusher from Texas A&M, Caden McDonald, the run-stuffing nose tackle from Ohio State, T.J. Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson, Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle from Florida. He's your boom or bust type of prospect. Peter Woods, the defensive tackle from Clemson, who just confuses more draft analysts than anybody else out there.
I'm seeing more confusing opinions on him.
Yeah.
More and more.
Zion Young, edge rusher from Missouri. Lee Hunter.
The Caleb Banks one, I think we debated this a little bit for the Bears, that movement, size, upside that they have. They've gotten some pretty good play out of Gervon Dexter after a slow start for him. As a second rounder, projectable also out of Florida, just a same school scout. That'd be an interesting fit here for the Bears.
I'm kind of liking the idea, though, that these run-stuffing nose tackles that are just really awesome at that are worth more than people gave them credit for. I mean, we saw Caden McDonald's successor effectively drafted for that role. Like, it's not, I think, it's not an area where I think teams are shying away from that at the bottom of the first round.
Tyleik Williams?
Yeah.
Last year? The guy he succeeded, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. His predecessor, not successor.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, McDonald's young and maybe better than Tyleik Williams, and maybe has more upside there. Someone did bring up the point, their scheme may not be looking for the big-bodied run-stop types, more of the field.
So I see those guys not just as, run stuffers who just occupy space, but also, like, can you push a pocket? Like, can you actually...
He can do that.
Yeah, and again, I don't, like, it's... So people talk about these guys, they bring nothing as a pass rusher. Well, okay, there's bringing nothing, which literally you are just going to occupy space and never even move towards the quarterback, or can you start to squeeze the center and the guards towards the quarterback and start to collapse his pocket and start to mean that he can't step up into the pocket? That's bringing something as a pass rusher. Like, it's not necessarily getting a ton of pressure, if any pressure, because, the way these things are charted in those plays, the edge rushers may be getting the pressure on the play, but the fact that guy couldn't step up into the pocket is potentially on the nose tackle or whatever. So I see Caden McDonald as somebody that can impact the pass game, even if it's not in terms of pressure numbers or sacks or, he's not bringing nothing, is what I'm saying, in addition to being a run
I agree.
So I'm drafting him.
There you go.
Because you can't stop me.
Another Ohio State defensive player.
That's right.
So you're going Caden McDonald here to the Bears at 25.
Yep.
I wonder if the Bills would have liked him at 26.
Possibly.
Sniping.
Bills
at 26. Jordan Tyson's available.
He is. Jordan Tyson is available. I'm not doing that for Buffalo. I'm just not. The injuries scare me. Particularly, cold weather, hamstring. Not doing that.
You got a dome coming into.
You need to warm that thing up to sprint. That's true. Well, it's not a dome, isn't it? It's like a
slightly open.
It's like a windbreaker.
I got you.
It's like it protects you from the wind, which did used to swirl around that old stadium.
Oh yeah.
But it's still cold, I think. So Anyway, Cassius Howell's the guy I'm drawn to with this spot. he's another one that terrifies me because he's got literally the shortest arms they've ever measured from an edge rusher, and I don't know what to do with that. But the dude he makes plays.
I'm so biased because I love the fit just because Greg Rousseau's the opposite body type on the other side. I'm just like, yes, great pick.
But I
love
also
it.
think I think Buffalo and Philadelphia are the two spots where Howell can go where even if he's only a designated pass rusher that just cooks on 400 snaps, it's good for them.
I still come back to, even though it wasn't, they had to beat the Broncos last year and they didn't, you're still trying to beat teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens, the teams that have the elite athletic quarterbacks like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And I just see Cassius Howell as this elite athlete where if he's got to make a play against Mahomes in space or, key pass rush really in that game against the Chiefs, that he's he's one of those guys you're looking to rely on, right? I still come back to that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me for the Bills.
I also think, again, for all the concerns that, all right, he is pretty lightweight and doesn't necessarily set a hard edge, that does not mean he doesn't play the run at all, or at least, and sometimes very well. Like, you look at that series of plays against Notre Dame where they're just trying to run the ball in with Jeremiah Love, and Howell was the guy stopping those plays, most of them, all by himself. Like, by penetration and by determination, Howell makes a ton of plays. And again, if you're just putting him out there for 400 plays as part of your rotation, thinking that, all right, if it's a power play in his direction, we might be in trouble. But if it's any other type of play, he's a good guy to have on the field. I like that.
Yeah, he could shed blocks. And
like, the more snaps you have him on the field, maybe you're going to find more of those plays that don't play to his strengths, right? But if you have him as he's only going to play 400 snaps for us, he can play most of those 400 snaps pretty well.
You could shed blocks as in get around blocks and use his agility and everything. I completely agree. Niners are up on the clock here.
Indeed.
Pick 27.
This is where I kind of they would be an interesting spot for a receiver. Also, defensive line, Peter Woods, Caleb Banks.
So, Jordan, did we already have this discussion? Jordan Tyson and the hamstring issues next to the substation.
No, we didn't.
Let's just really put that thing to the test.
Well, also him and Mike Evans on the same team with the hamstring. So, we're going to need a hamstring expert.
Run it in.
We're going to need whatever about them running the scientists through the substation thing and determining it was a big nothing burger. We're probably going to need a hamstring expert on staff for this season.
Good. Get Christian Watson's doctor over here immediately for hamstring rebalancing.
Rebalancing the both of them.
This is great. Can you do it, please?
No, I don't think I'm doing that. I think one of the defensive tackles makes sense. Caleb Banks or Peter Woods. Man, they both scare me for different reasons. Is there anyone else that would take at that spot?
Caleb Banks or Peter? I'm just thinking through it right now. I'm sorry. Caleb Banks is so intriguing because of what his high end. This is like Steve's out of body experience. Steve's left the room here, but just the highlight reel stuff from
he's
Caleb
like the
Banks.
Classic can-do player.
Yeah.
Problem is those guys, when you're talking about can-do, they often don't.
He's very Deion Walker-like because Walker had similarities, like where the highlight reel is like you don't see dudes this size make these types of plays. Yeah. And Banks is more strength than quicks, but he's got both.
His wins are nuts. Like, you look at his wins.
Deion Walker was more quicks,
right,
at 330, 340. Banks just tosses grown men to the ground.
But also at the Senior Bowl, you saw the quicks as well. Yeah. Like, his instant wins are nuts.
But they both have bad reps.
Yeah.
They both have the same, long defensive tackle, pad level issues. I think you could see it on the screen here. I put examples of both, where he's able to he blew up plays at the Senior Bowl, and he also got stoned other times as well. Or blown off the ball.
But the instant win.
The instant win
that's
plays
what you're banking on.
Are incredible. Yeah. No pun intended.
Right. I mean, that's what you're looking for. But he also, at no point was good against the run in his profile. He's a problem against the run, effectively. So you're almost like, does he pair with the guys you brought in last year, the defensive tackles?
Well, he's a problem, again, the way Deion Walker was. Walker made more plays in college, I think, than Banks. Banks can be a disruptor, but again, he'll lose his gap, get blown off the ball as well. But you kind of see the potential there.
Yeah,
I'm back. I keep going back and forth on Caleb Banks and what I want.
Yeah, let's swing that.
I like him in Houston.
The bat.
I like Banks in Houston where you just sniped.
Yeah, well, obviously,
as well.
That's the way this draft's going. I'm sniping every single player before I get to it. Yeah,
Caleb Banks to the 49ers. Who do you think Kyle Shanahan would like at receiver if like if Concepcion's not on the board, but like Casey Concepcion, or if Tyson was on the board, or Denzel Boston's on the board, like who do you think Kyle Shanahan
think he would
want?
love an Omar Cooper Jr.
Yeah.
Again, I know he got comped at some point to Deebo Samuel. I think that's too far, but there are some things in common between those two that I think Shanahan would like.
All right, Texans up at 28 here.
Yeah, you're right. They would. I think Peter Woods would be good for them. I also think Caden McDonald would be good for them. Sorry, not Peter Woods. Caleb Banks would be good for them. I also think Caden McDonald would be good for them. I'm not so sure that Peter Woods is the guy they would want, but I also am basically as confused by him as everybody else.
We've workshopped the Avion Terrell fit here.
Yeah.
For the Texans. The fact that he could play inside or out is just he's got that attitude.
He's
and
a good depth fit for
feistiness.
them. He's a good depth piece for them. The problem they might have is that he might not start for them at all.
And would he even play in the slot the way they
No,
use
that's what I'm
Jalen
saying.
Petrie?
Like he wouldn't. I don't think he would see the field for them until injuries and/or dime packages got called.
Or if Houston just decides in 2 years we just can't pay Kamari Lassiter.
Right. So it's
We'll pay we'll have a cheaper Terrell for a couple of years, and that's how we'll build.
There's
this
not
roster.
a great path to the field for Avion Terrell for them. I
Right.
think, even with his flexibility and the fact that he has to cover.
He would be a good football player for that defense.
Yeah, unless you wanted to move Petrie back to like a pure free safety and move Terrell into that slot role, and Petrie's been so good at that, I don't think you would want to do that.
Yeah.
You can still hammer the offensive line. I'd still think that, in fact, that's what I'm doing. I'm not even screwing around with that. We're drafting Pregnon. Guard.
Wow. Dude, they just paid 2 guards.
You keep saying that as if they have a capable left guard in the roster right now.
They just paid Ed Ingram and Wyatt Teller.
Right. But Wyatt Teller, A, didn't get paid that much, and B, looks like he's on the downslope of his career. So we're bringing in an actual guard who can come in and be our left guard for the future.
All right. That's the Texans at 28. Puts the Chiefs back up on the clock at 29.
It did.
Who'd you get first time?
It's a good question. Who did we draft?
Scroll up.
Spencer Fano.
Oh, yeah. So you got
line.
the right tackle. Chiefs are going to hate that.
And or guard.
They blame the O-line every time Mahomes doesn't have a good game, but they're going to hate seeing it. Anyway, carry on.
This is so wide receiver is interesting now. So they could still be the edge rusher market is definitely there. TJ Parker, they could be into.
Do they go Jordan Tyson a year after doing the Josh Simmons slide deal?
That's what I'm saying. They, I think, would be interested in Jordan Tyson. Maybe a Denzel Boston would be intriguing for them as well. Different type of receiver. That's where the drop starts, right? Then it's Chris Bell.
I think Boston would be. I told you, I wrote Mahomes in my notes for Boston because of his feel, because of his scramble drill ability. I just think he'd be a good, dependable receiver when they've been, kind of taking swings at the receiver position.
They have. Every single receiver available now is a wildly different statement for what this offense would be, right? Like you've got the type of route runner that Jordan Tyson is and his potential limitations with ball skills that may or may not be real given his career arc. You've got the Denzel Boston style of receiver, which is a totally different receiver to anybody else available. More of an outside receiver, possession guy who's got some vertical chops to him, really good at the catch point. You've got the sort of joker ability of Chris Bell and that wild potential that he's got. I also think Jeremy Bernard is a really fascinating receiver for them. Like, Bernard could do a lot of what Rashee Rice has done for this team in terms of deployment. And he's just really, really good. Like, just a solid, guaranteed, really good player.
But he's probably a day 2 value, and he'll probably be there on day 2.
Maybe. But maybe I don't see that many differences between a Jeremy Bernard and an Emeka Ibuka. And Ibuka went in the first round. I think there are some similarities to their game. And at the bottom of the first round, I think he's a guy that could sneak in potentially that isn't being talked about in that range. Anyway, it's a bit far, but only because I'm the GM would I be considering this and talking about it.
Interesting discussion.
Yeah.
He's on the other end from a 93rd percentile drop rate. There's a dependability to Bernard.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying with the
Dependable.
Chiefs. They got Ken Walker in the backfield now. They're going to run the ball a little bit more. Do they just want this Uber plus, this possession plus type of receiver?
And if you're my you're my chief analytics nerd for all these things, right? For every team,
CAN.
There you go. We're using the PVM. Anyway, you, Palazzolo, have made the point to me in the past in these meetings that there is signal to when a team is force-feeding the ball to a wide receiver.
I have.
Right? Even though Jeremy Bernard was not the 5-star super recruit, he was the guy they were force-feeding the ball to. Not Ryan Williams, who forgot how to catch last year, but Bernard. He was getting like backfield carries. He was getting the screens. He was getting all the gadget stuff.
He was.
There's signal to that. That means they know he's the guy. He's a baller. They weren't doing that to Ibuka.
So that's your Rashee Rice replacement. Are you going to play the board, though, and maybe see if that's available?
Yeah, I'm probably not doing it now. I'm just saying this is
good.
This is the discussion we're having in that room.
Look at you. That's the first I've heard Bernard's name mentioned in and around the first round.
It is a bit rich, and I don't think he goes there. But, every year we talk about there are names that pop up in the bottom 5 picks of the first round that surprise everybody, right? If Jeremy Bernard's name was called in the bottom 5 picks of this first round, it wouldn't blow my mind. I would understand it. I would get it. That being said, I'm not doing it. Let's take Jordan Tyson for the Chiefs.
Wow, I love it.
And his bandy hamstrings.
Just got to deal with it. They're going to a dome soon, like 5 years. That'll help them.
I can't believe Kansas City's going to a dome.
It's embarrassing.
Miserable
situation for everybody in the NFL that you're all going to domes. Who's up here?
Miami.
Dolphins back up at 30. Oh, they could have used a receiver.
Well, they got Francis Maui-Noah with their first pick, so they haven't addressed either cornerback or a receiver. I like the receiver depth lower on. I think Avion Terrell at this spot is value for them.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
I think he can play outside. I think he can also play in the slot.
Nice little draft for Miami here.
He's a nasty little feisty run defender, screen guy. Like he really does that stuff well, despite being a little bit undersized. I think that's a good pick for them.
Attitude guy too, that they need on defense.
Right.
Get that attitude.
Tone setter.
Love it. Tone setter. That's what we're looking for.
Setter.
So you got an offensive lineman and a defensive tone setter, even though he's a corner.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a good start to the the new regime in Miami.
Patriots up on the clock at 31.
Now they've been linked to some receivers, pass rushers.
Would I allow? What if Raves is out here banging the table for the guy that he's been messing it up with in drills? Honacher. You saw him. They loved each other.
I just want to know what the report back was.
Yeah.
Look, I was hands-on with Max.
And I think he's garbage.
Yeah. He's weaker than we thought.
Right. Dude's got no ability. Couldn't even stop me.
I also want to know were they in draft meetings and they're stacking the offensive tackle board and they're like, core strength, check, check, check. We got questions. Braves, we're going to need you out at Arizona State.
Right.
Get hands-on to Max, report back, and then we'll move the board accordingly.
Does he have the core?
I need the 30 for 30 on this.
I would really love to know. I would like to hear them talk out what they learned from that and if it's a good or a bad thing.
The Bugler will investigate. We will investigate. I want to know what the report was like. And I just want a situation where he's on the board once or twice for New England.
Right, just to see if they gravitate towards him.
Because if they go, we'll have the answer, right? Like what I saw.
Right. If they draft him in the first round, we can assume that it was a positive interaction with that drill. If they don't, we'll never know. Could be either way. He's an option for them. I don't think that's crazy. T.J. Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson, would be an option for them as well.
I have no idea what the league's going to think of Parker.
Yeah.
Where he's going to end up going.
Zion Young, edge rusher from Missouri, I think would be an option for them as well.
Yeah. We've talked about tackle at various points too. A few of them are off the board. Lomu's still there.
So this is one of those spots where a few positions have started to drop off. I don't love wide receiver options for them, even though Denzel Boston is there. I don't love the offensive line options for them, even though Ihanacher is there. The edge rushers, it's like, do you like a T.J. Parker enough to draft him here, or a Zion Young, or an R. Mason Thomas? I don't love it.
Where are we going to go? Chat's asking about Anthony Hill, Texas linebacker. I think him and C.J. Allen, for me, I've got some questions about them generally in space, overall coverage. I think they're in and around the line of scrimmage, havoc creators. I get it, especially Allen, just like a really good all-around football player. But that's why we bring up Jacob Rodriguez, who crushed the Senior Bowl in space. And maybe he was cheating. Maybe he's just overcommitting inside. Who knows?
But that's why it's not.
But that's my question with
smart.
those linebackers. And I go back to like the Edgerrin. I compared Rodriguez to Edgerrin Cooper a couple years ago. Different style players, because Cooper was that downhill hammer where you say, okay, I don't know if I really trust him in space, but he's athletic enough to do it. But he goes in the second. I wonder if that's going to be the question for Allen and for Anthony Hill as far as their ability from a coverage flexibility standpoint.
I think edge rusher is where they would most like to go. So I think at that spot, T.J. Parker makes the most sense. Done.
T.J. Parker.
I would be interested in, I think they would have a discussion about Emmanuel McNeil-Warren just for value, but they're in fine shape at safety. Kevin Byard, they signed. He's not a long-term solution. Maybe they would do that, but they're good that they don't need to. But I think they would have that conversation.
All right, pick 32, Seattle Seahawks. Defending Super Bowl champion.
Defending. Yeah.
Is McNeil-Warren value for them?
Yes. He's value for anybody at this spot, the bottom of the first round. Yeah, I think absolutely.
Slept on because he merely ran a 4.5, but is monstrous.
What a loser. 4.5.
Because he didn't get the 4.3s like
it's only a tenth and a half faster than that Nigerian defensive tackle that's never played the game before and ran 4.6 at 306 pounds.
Does he go around 7 to somebody?
Ridiculous. Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, he had one of the craziest workouts I've ever seen in my life. He had he ran a 4.68, I think they said. Vertical jumped almost 40 inches, broad jumped almost 11 feet, and then had an 8-second 3-cone and was somewhere in the 40th percentile of the short shuttle as well. And then bench press 31 reps or something. And it's 6'4", 306, and they claimed had 6% body fat. Now, apparently body fat Twitter is a thing. And they're like, that's not 6%. Whatever. The dude shredded at 306 pounds and looks like an absolute freak of nature, and may get drafted in the 7th round despite never playing football.
Can't really know his body fat till you throw him into the bod pod. You got to throw him.
Which I think is how they do these things for these. Anyway, whatever. However much fat percentage he actually has, the dude has a 6-pack at 306 pounds. So it's pretty good shape, and has never played the game, but may get drafted anyway, which is wild. I mean, we were just talking about that guy, what's his name, Neff Jiwa or whatever, the Irish guy rugby player that just got a scholarship from South Carolina despite literally having never played the game before, right? And you're like, how wild is that there are recruits out here getting ignored because this guy who's literally never played the game is just such a freaky athlete that an SEC school gives him a scholarship. Yeah. This is the NFL equivalent of that, right? The NFL, this guy might get drafted in the 7th round or whatever, but a dude who's never played the game before might get drafted simply because he's that freak show of an athlete. That's nuts.
That's what happens. That's listen, I went undrafted 4,500 times in baseball.
Yeah.
Michael Vick was drafted over me. He'd never played baseball.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah. But imagine being...
He had better tools than me. He had more upside.
Right. Imagine being such an amazing athlete that even in the NFL, a sport full of super athletes, you can get yourself still, in today's day and age, you can still get yourself drafted having never played the sport just because you're that freaky of an athlete.
We'll see. I mean, the German kid did too, right? Did he get drafted?
Well, he at least played. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was pure athleticism.
That was his name, Boehringer, something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it
Moritz Boehringer, damn it, what's his name? Yeah. But he was he'd played. He was a German league receiver. He just hadn't played in any kind of, American level.
No, I don't have it. All right. Pick for Seattle.
Yeah. They could go in a variety of different ways, right? I would like corner for them, really, but the ones that I really... Would they take Pons?
Chat mentioned Pons.
I say
CeCe, Pons.
I say they. It's me. Would I take Pons?
Would you take Pons?
The answer is hell yeah. Of course I would.
He just ran in the 4.3s. Low 4.3s?
Depends who you listen to. Some people had him in the 4.2s, but the consensus appears to be low 4.3s.
Let me see what our friend Dane had for him. I don't have it updated here.
I like Pons. I think that makes sense. I also think he could supplant Job for them.
Yeah, who they brought back, but eventually, yeah. Pons more than just a nickel here.
More than just that should be on his first line of his draft.
5.085. was over 180 at the combine.
Good for him.
Got to update some numbers here on my end. Love it.
And a low 4.3. Doing it. D'Angelo Ponce. I love that. Dude, it's just a baller. Somebody was making this point. It's like, you can't. Okay, it might be the nice, like with that, what's the elevator pitch for a given player? You need the line that sums him up. And the line for Ponce is going to be, like, he's just a baller. But people have been making the point, you need something as well. Like, you can't just be a baller, right? The guys that succeed by just being a baller also tend to have some kind of special physical trait as well. And Ponce does. He runs a 4.3. Dude's fast.
Yeah.
Dude's
fast.
blazing.
Again, a lot of his negative plays come in zone. I was surprised how often Indiana used spot drop zone. And you're in the middle of, he's trying to like split verticals. Old school, you're playing deep third and cover 3, and you got 2 verticals to split. Most cover 3 schemes are carrying one of those verts, and you're just matching the outside, and he's over there getting, 2-on-1s that he's got to deal with. Like that happened a lot. So he was in and around those types of plays or coverage busts or whatever. But I just wonder how much of that was just a zone heavy scheme. But he's got he's got man-to-man ability that is really impressive. Again, go back and watch him against Jeremiah Smith. He lost a couple reps.
Right, of course.
But he was in it, man.
Yeah.
He was in there battling with Jeremiah.
I mean, he
Smith.
wasn't annihilated, is the point. He was.
And he won some reps. Like, he was right there and some.
The sizes are wildly different, but that reminded me of the game between. Remember when Jamar Chase went up against AJ Terrell, and they had like an absolute back and forth battle, and Jamar Chase got him, a couple of times with some big plays, but of course he's Jamar Chase. But AJ Terrell really he battled tooth and nail with Jamar Chase for that entire game and had a good go of it. That felt like Ponce against Jeremiah Smith, where it's like, Jeremiah Smith is Jeremiah Smith. You're going to lose some reps, but he did a pretty good job against him.
So that's your mock, man. We'll put it out there on Twitter. We'll let everybody trash it. It's not the worst I've ever seen.
Oh,
I mean, for someone,
then it's a bad mock.
Feel good that someone somewhere, for someone somewhere, this will be the worst mock they've ever seen.
Great.
It will be. Now, last year when I did my mock draft as a man of the people, I said, "You're yearning for round 2, aren't you?"
Yeah.
We'll do it tomorrow. We'll just throw a bonus round 2 in there. Mm-hmm. I might do that next week. We'll see. We'll come out of round 1, and then maybe we'll do a bonus round 2. Do you have a bonus round 2 in you? We haven't talked about this. Do we just fire this up at home tomorrow? Just a quick 30-minute fly through some round 2 picks as a bonus for the people.
Maybe.
It's a maybe. If we get enough subscribers, how about that?
Okay.
If we could get to 79, we're at 78.6. If we get to 79,000, 400 people today. That's it. Get to 79,000. Maybe we'll do it for tomorrow.
Okay.
If we get to 80,000 for sure, I'll do 3 rounds.
All by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it. It's not the worst draft I've ever seen. That's right. That is exactly what I said.
That's the elevator pitch for this.
So I'm doing my mock next week on Monday, and we'll see.
So give me your favorite and least favorite pick from my mock draft.
I don't have them in front of me.
I dropped the little picture into the chat there.
So my least favorite is probably going to be the Keldrick Falk one, just because of all the uncertainty there. I think it's yours too.
I think that was my least favorite. Not the pick himself of Keldrick Falk, but the least favorite pick I was presented with. Like, here's the situation.
Right, it's your
Tampa
own
Bay
fault.
picking at 15. This is what's left. That was my least favorite of. Oh no, I don't love this.
I liked Ruben Bain at 3.
Uh-huh.
I thought Francis Maui Noah was. I thought that was strong at 11 for Miami. So Bain at 3 to Arizona, Maui Noah at 11 to Miami, because I like how that played out for the Dolphins, getting him in Terrell at 30. And I thought Falk is the one where I think Bucs fans are going to, like, which fan base is most mad here? It's who's most mad coming out of your mock? I think it's Bucs fans. It's Dr. Eric Eager getting a tight end.
Doctor would be upset.
It's Bears fans seeing Caden McDonald
like
again.
Yeah.
And I think it's Texans fans seeing a guard. That's who's most mad. I think Chiefs fans, they should be happy seeing Spencer Fano and Jordan Tyson.
Okay.
Although some guy said he went thumbs down and bailed. He said it's a bust pick. He said, hate Tyson.
Tyson?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Jets fans, I think, should be pretty happy.
Yeah,
with
that's a
Arvell
fun
Reese and Mekhi Lemon.
That
I
is a fun one.
think they'll like the 2 and 16. I think the Browns will feel good about I think we've done this before, the Tate Tate at 6, Blake Miller at 24.
As long as,
quick analysis.
Cleveland coming out of the first round with a tackle and a wide receiver in any order almost seems to be guarantee some degree of satisfaction.
Yeah. So they were good. We're good. Fun mock. So for Wednesday's show, I want this to be the biggest show we've done, at least since last Wednesday. That was a big one.
That was, yeah. It's probably not going to be bigger than that.
No, it's not. But I'm excited about this Wednesday show because I really want to go through some historic draft myths, trends, storylines. I want to go back and rehash some of the places where we were right, wrong, or at least the discussions we had, right? We discussed the same discussions that we just had in the top 10 picks that took us an hour. We'll do this 3 years from now. What was the right play? Arvell Reese versus David Bailey versus Reuben Bain. So we'll go back through some of those specifics, but also just theoretically, was the running back the right move in the first round for certain teams? And will it be for Jeremiah Love in the top 10 in particular? So we'll go through a lot of those on Wednesday.
Yeah, a lot of good feedback from the show last week as well, by the way, the PFF eulogy show that we did with Renner. So thanks to everybody for the feedback that we got. Obviously, huge show in terms of numbers, tons of comments, tons of general feedback across the board. So thank you, everyone, for watching. It was a weird show to do.
It was. We weren't planning. We knew we were going to do the show. It wasn't planning for it to be as big as it ended up being.
Yeah.
And I thought there'd be some feedback. I
didn't think that would do particularly well as a show. It absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
There's, by the way, just in the chat, I wonder sometimes what people listen to when we do these shows. And it's like, some guy said Sam's logic for at least one pick was to steal a guard from the Ravens because the Ravens need a guard. That wasn't the logic for the Rams taking Ioane. That was just a thing we said at the end of the Rams taking Ioane as we transitioned into the Ravens picking next.
Right, because you also had to pick for the Ravens.
They just sniped it from the Ravens. That wasn't why the Rams took Ioane. The Rams took Ioane because their entire offensive line is on its way to needing to be paid or replaced. And so
because you said,
you're future-proofing that position.
I'm also picking for the Ravens, and I would have taken the guy that the Rams just took.
Yes.
Because I'm the GM for the Rams.
Anyway.
So, really quick. I have a great aunt. This is, I got married on the 6th of October. On the 6th of every month, my great aunt wishes my wife and I a happy anniversary. She was doing really well with this, and then she lost track somewhere along the way. So she now has the wrong, so it'll be like happy 13 years, 10 months, whatever it is. She's now off by like 4 months. She was perfect for like the first 12 years, and something went wrong. And so now she tells me it's 14 years and 4 months, and it should be like 14 and 7 months, whatever it is.
Okay.
I don't have the heart to correct her on this.
Right.
So she'll say happy anniversary at some point this year, and it'll be like 3 months off.
You're wrong.
But shout out to Aunt Helen, who's sent it. It's always on the 6th. She's got the right day. But the count is off. I could go back through the text messages because these are the only text messages that we exchange.
Right.
Other than thank you, love you. So I could see where she went wrong. Like
the only concern would be that starts to get into your own brain, and now you start to poison your own recollection of the date. You're like, which...
I'm going like happy anniversary in August. I'm like 3 months early.
It's like nothing is worse for your brain if you're trying
early.
to go through any kind of mathematical sequence and somebody's standing on the side just shouting numbers. Like, this is what's happening to you.
How much has Mo Hall listened to us? He said, is it the great aunt who gave weird gifts? Yes. And I can't believe that I did tell that story. She used to give... She gave me the Ken Burns 9 video VHS series.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was her.
Nice.
But she would give the women in our family, the ladies would get like light up earrings, and they would get mad because she'd get me like this collector's item type of thing.
Right.
And she'd get them like light up Christmas earrings. Yeah. So apparently I've told that story years ago on the Bo Hall Remembers.
Speaking of slightly weird gifts, we haven't mentioned this on air yet. It's somewhere over there. But we had something come in from one of our power listeners, or you call him?
Yeah.
Rick, I think he was calling himself, Zappelli, who gave us it was called, check the height. It's a height chart that, unfortunately, it's not up on the studio yet. We will, but it requires a tape measure to do that. And I don't have a tape measure in this studio, having taken it home, because we need to mount it a certain
He just
number of
emailed
inches.
to check if it went through.
Yeah, it got here. It arrived the other day. Battered to hell, by the way. It's one of the, remember the scene at the start of Ace Ventura when he's delivering the UPS thing? It's like kicking it down the street and doing somersaults over it and stuff. Yeah. Whoever delivered this did the same thing to that. It's like bits of it bent and stuff.
Full
anyway,
Ace Ventura.
at some point, we will mount it on the wall over there behind you, but it requires being mounted at a certain specific number of inches from the floor. So we haven't done that yet.
We'll take the time.
But it's to check the height chart thing. So thank you, Rick.
Well, that was it. Good mock by you, Sam.
Thank you. Or at least not the worst one.
Not the worst we've ever seen. Appreciate it, and appreciate everybody for being here and for listening and for tuning in. So we'll be here again Wednesday talking some draft myths, and we'll have John Ledyard on Thursday talking edge rush rankings. All right, thanks to everybody for tuning in. See you again Wednesday. More. Check the mic.